Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday night edition of our show, Spurs Diehards, Tottenham Till I Die. We've got lots to talk about tonight and some really good guests on as well. We'll be talking about the Euros from Friday and Saturday. We'll be previewing the semi-finals. And we'll be talking as well about the forthcoming friendlies and the possible ins and outs over the hopefully the next couple of weeks, because the players, as you know, are already back in training. Tonight's guests, well, first of all, let me introduce somebody who you may not have seen before. Bottom right of the screen, Tom Clark. Tom, want to tell us a little bit about yourself, because people won't know who you are.
So I've been a Spurs supporter all my life, thanks to my family. Go as often as I can as a season ticket holder. My job doesn't always allow me to go every weekend, but as often as I can with my dad and a few other family members. I'm probably too opinionated sometimes, but I'll keep it level.
We want opinions. Your dad told me that Tom's dad, Kevin, was an old primary school friend of mine. We were playing schools football at 11, and we're both into our mid-60s now. So been a long, long time. Jose, well, bottom left, welcome to the show, my friend.
Good evening. How are you, gentlemen? I hope you're all well.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. All the better for being here with you guys tonight.
Isn't that lovely?
To talk about football.
Talk about football. Yeah, hopefully we'll talk a little bit about football. Your own background, Jose, you've got a bit of Spanish in you?
Well, I'm fully Spanish. My parents are both from Galicia, from La Coruña in Spain. I was born here in England, and so therefore I have a foot in both camps, if you pardon the pun. I've got a foot in both camps. We're going to discuss it anyway, so I'll leave it to when we discuss it. We will,
but I've
got a foot in both camps, and over here, obviously, I'm a Tottenham lifelong supporter. In Spain, I'm Deportivo de La Coruña.
Yeah, well, buenas noches, mi amigo.
Sí, buenas noches a ti también.
Brad, how are you this evening? Brad Matthews will know you and your songwriting talents.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, Ian. Sort of recovering after probably too much alcohol yesterday, and also the fact that England are somehow in the semi-finals of the Euros, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's a bit of a recovery process. And on Wednesday we do it all again, both alcohol and football. So it's a bit of a marathon this tournament.
And good evening to my co-host Adrian, or co-founder and co-host of this channel. Good evening, Adrian.
Hi, good evening to you all. It's good to see you in with 3 different guests for a change, which we like to rotate the guests, and I'm sure you will contribute, good opinions to Ian's questions. So it's good to have you on.
Absolutely. So right, there you go. I don't know. One of the things we're still working on this. You're doing the chat things there. Kev Clark there. Okay. Here's the rub. I'm Tom's father, and I work with Jose. You see that at the bottom, below Wayne's one. That's the one. You know,
Kev?
You go.
I know Kevin. I know Kev Clark. Yeah, of course I do. I know Kev very well.
Small world, on his son.
Luke, I'm your father. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker.
More pressure not to embarrass him now.
There you go.
Seen that.
There you go. Wow. Okay. Well, welcome, Kev, and welcome anyone else. If you're in the chat and you're watching, do say hi so we know you're there and we can say hi back. Let's start with you, Jose. Let's start with Friday night's game or games. Let's start with, because Adrian certainly knows, Friday night's my music quiz night. So I don't do the show on a Friday night at the moment till I'm back in the UK. And I didn't really see much of the games at all. So give us your thoughts, first of all, on your Spanish team, your other home team, and their game with the host Germany.
Spain have been the best team in the tournament by far, head and shoulders. best team in the tournament. I did feel though that against Germany the other night, I felt that Spain looked leggy for the first time in the tournament. I haven't seen them look like that at all. It's not as if they played extra time in any of the other games that they've played. So, but they ended up looking leggy. But they've changed the way they play football. The last from about 2006 till probably as recently as about a year ago, it was tiki-taka football that they played. They were very successful early doors, won 2 European Championships and a World Cup, 3 on the bounce. After that, they got found out. It was all nice, pretty tiki-taka football, but no end product and no goals were being scored. De La Fuente's come in. He's obviously managed the Spain at under 17 level. He's managed them at under 21. And most of the squad that he's got, he made some big calls, but most of the squad that he has are players that have come through with him either in the 17s or in the 21s. So you've got players like Rodri, Abel Ruiz, and some other players that came through in the 17s, and then you've got the 21s where he's got players like Nico Williams and players like that came, and Cucurella that came through in his 21 side. So he's brought a different type of football to Spain. You still got a bit of the tiki-taka stuff, but there's end product now because they play with 2 wingers, and he plays a 4-3-3 predominantly, as people can see. But Rodri is probably the best centre midfielder in the world in the position that he plays in. He'll play on his own and he takes out 3 opposing midfielders. So just by having him there, the other 2 Spanish players seem to become spare parts with the other 2 midfielders, Ruiz and Pedri, where they can move further up the pitch and do what they want because you've got the security of Rodri there. It's interesting. I mean, yeah, they play wide now. Lamau, for his sins, has not become the youngest goal scorer yet. He has been trying though. He wants to become the youngest goal scorer. But he's played really, really well for a 16-year-old to be like that. I mean, he turns 17 in a couple of days' time, but for a 16-year-old, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Nico Williams has been absolutely brilliant. Goes both ways. As I said, for me, they've been the best side in the tournament, but they did look leggy to me the other night against Germany.
I mean, one of the things, the team that wins the tournament is very rarely the one that starts off best. Have they peaked too soon?
I don't think they've peaked. I don't. They just seem really leggy, and I don't know why. Because De La Fuente, unlike Mr. Southgate, De La Fuente makes substitution. He doesn't wait till the 80th minute to make a substitution, and you've got to be a goal down. He makes substitutions. Some he makes at half time. He's made half time subs, and he makes substitutions as and when he sees fit through the game. But he doesn't have to wait till towards the end of the game. So I'm quite surprised. I mean, the team looked leggy. Rodri's probably played near enough every minute, and you got some others that have probably Cucurella's played near enough every minute. The defenders have been swapped around. I mean, they look leggy, but in the 3rd game against Albania, he changed the whole 11.
Yeah.
So it's quite surprising. I mean, but then at the end of the day, I mean, I've said it on my podcasts and my channels in the past that football has been ruined by Premier League, FIFA, UEFA, everybody trying to fit all the games, all the tournaments, and have more and more. So players are playing until they're flogged, aren't they? I mean, you got these guys that are playing now in these championships and in the Copa America. Next weekend is the finals for both of these tournaments.
Yeah.
Whoever gets knocked out in the semi-finals this midweek in both tournaments, they should be off for 3 weeks before they go back to their clubs. 3 weeks, and you've been playing football for a solid year, and you're only going to get 3 weeks off. It's just absolute madness, and that's why a lot of these players look leggy. The tournament itself, I mean, I haven't watched much of the Copa America, but the tournament itself, it's sort of like evened itself out type of thing, because some of the teams that you expected to go out and annihilate the other teams, I think it's become a leveler because some of these players with the higher rated teams have played so many games that it's become a leveler in many respects. But yeah, no, I just think it's too much football. and I think it finally caught up with a few on Friday night.
Yeah. Tom?
Well, yeah, I mean, on that point, I can completely agree. And, let's fly out to Australia for a end of season friendly as well, just to add into the mix of that. But you can definitely tell, like, the games, every game has seemed really, really close, like even against lesser teams. Like, and I know I'm one of Southgate's biggest critics. I don't like him in any way, shape, or form. I thank him for bringing us together as a nation. I like enjoying Semi watching the team and can get behind the players, whereas never used to feel that before, even growing up. So that he's done good there, but everyone just looks knackered. So I think the amount of games is definitely like an issue, and obviously made even worse by COVIDs and lockdowns and things like that. Squeezing the Euros was only 3 years ago rather than 4 years ago, and then a World Cup like halfway through a year. Definitely does look it. In terms of Spain, they've definitely been the best team to watch. However, I don't. You won't thank me for saying this, but I don't think they'll get past France. If I'm honest, with France, they've been awful. But how many times does the awful team always make it to the final? They're not conceding loads. I mean, you could probably say exactly the same about England. But France and England seem to be mirroring each other quite well. Both are not playing particularly great, but they're not conceding loads, and they have players that can just produce a moment. And that's all Southgate is kind of relying on. He's like, if we can keep it steady, keep it 0-0, 1-0, whatever it is, a Bellingham, a Kane, a Saka, a Foden, someone like that is gonna pop up and do something world class. And it annoyingly, as dull and boring as it is to watch, it is kind of it's working at this present moment in time. But I mean, I've back on Spain, I've really enjoyed watching them. In terms of them looking leggy, I think maybe this is the first game where a team has really gone at them against Germany. So that could be something there. So, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to the France-Spain semi. I think that should be a pretty good match, especially if one team's going to go for it and the other's not. It could lead Spain to be counter-attacked a little bit.
Before I bring you in, Brad, two things. One, I'm going to be supporting France now because they sound like they've rejected fascism overwhelmingly in the elections tonight.
Yeah, I saw those results. Yeah, that's good.
This is a non-political channel, but when it comes to the far right, we're a political channel. Sorry about that, Adrian.
That's all right.
I also need to say a very special hello to there's Louis the Best. Hey, Louis is my 10-year-old grandson who is watching. He's absolutely over the moon to get a shout out on YouTube. And he now thinks I am a world star on YouTube. So do nothing to disabuse it of that notion. So hi, Louis, and see a few people coming in onto the thing. Chris, Anita, and Chris. I'm going to come back on Nita's point in the on the hours of work, which is a useful and interesting thing with the ages. Brad, your views?
I think
on Spain. I'll come on to England in a minute.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the group games other than the England games, so I haven't seen Spain in the other games. But I watched them on Friday night. Yeah, they do look good. They do look good. And they've got the players, and to win, against the home nation with the atmosphere and that sort of thing, and win it, they got the goal up, and then they had the equaliser in the last few minutes. That's going to sap you. But they came back, and that header was one of the best headers I've ever seen to win the game. All I'm hoping, as an England fan, is that they and this will test the knowledge of a lot of our older viewers. Like Crisp in the 1973 Grand National, they'll go all the way around the court and then get pipped at the post by Red Rum. So,
yeah.
And I from at least 24 hours ago predicted an England-France final. So, but I thought Spain looked good. The interesting point about completely changing the team for one game and still sort of getting through it. They got the players, certainly the players that the actual technical ability, that sort of thing. And but I just have this feeling at the moment that England and France seem to be sort of somehow getting through their games. And if you want to talk about the other game on Friday night, France versus Portugal, I thought Portugal were by far the better team that night. France, I thought, were incredibly negative. I couldn't believe how negative they have, considering the attacking players they've got. Yet they went through on the penalties. So yeah, both France and England seem to be sort of stumbling through. And it reminds me very much, from an England point of view, reminds me very much of the Spurs 2019 Champions League campaign, where we were out of it so many times and we somehow got to the final. So the only caveat with that is we actually lost the final. So hopefully England will go one better.
It's the antithesis of the glory game, though, isn't it? About about going out and beating the other lot rather than sitting back and waiting for them to die of boredom.
I think what's happened, because in modern day football, the teams that are obviously on a technical level below the teams they're playing just go out now to stop the other team from playing, and that's why you've had so many dull games during this tournament. They just go out there. Your Slovakias, your Slovenias, it's effective. Don't get me wrong. And brilliant for Slovenia to make in the knockout stages, but they go there and they just basically try and stop the other team from playing. I'm sure that didn't used to happen in days gone by. It was just a game of football, and every now and again, one of the weaker teams would actually win. So I think that's what's been happening. I thought the World Cup from memory wasn't that boring, but this tournament's been very dull.
To be honest, I think a lot of that's come from the fact that they've made it bigger. So you've now got lots of minnows like Scotland that are playing in there.
That's a bit
well
rude.
said.
There, to be fair,
but you've got these smaller countries that would never have made it to tournaments like these, and they're just there for they play their 3 games. If they get any more, then they're laughing, and they will happily go there and stink the place out. And I know we still come to England in a bit, but we'll say I've heard people saying, "Oh, England, they were a bit better last night," things. But I actually don't think we was. I think the only difference last night is Switzerland didn't park all 10 men behind the ball.
Yeah, I'll come on to England in a minute, Tom, if that's okay, because I'd want to bring Adrian as well. But I think just that point that Tom and Jose have alluded to. Do you think that the negative football is brought on by fatigue, that players just don't have the energy levels to go out and attack? Any of you can take that?
I don't know. I thought, maybe England have played too many games on the players. And I thought, well, actually, a lot of the players in the other teams have done the same. They've all got to Champions League finals and this sort of thing. So they've played the same amount of games. I think the fatigue thing, if it is, I don't know. I'm not sure on that one, Ian. But I do get the point, and I can see the validity in it, but I'm not so sure. I think we tend to give them too many excuses at times.
But you got if you look at the teams and you were to look at them on rankings and ratings, the fact that Spain are unbeaten at the moment and have already knocked out Croatia, Italy, and Germany. Spain go for it, and France don't. France are a dull team to watch.
Yeah.
They may have exciting wingers, they may have Mbappe, they may have some really, really good, exciting players, but they don't go for it. They're conservative. They don't go for it. Spain won't hang about against France. Spain will go for it, and it'll be interesting because the matchup between Rodri and Kante will be interesting because Kante has been France's best player so far. Kante's played out of his skin, and I would say to lots of clubs, if you can bring him back from Saudi at the age of 32, bring him back because he'll do a great job for you. He's wasted in the Saudi Pro League. But it'll be interesting. That match will be interesting, but Spain will go at France.
Adrian, you've heard the panelists.
Yeah, I can't fault anything the panelists. Excellent points. To me, it's been a bore fest. I'm an England fan, even though I'm an half English myself. But I'm a patriot England fan, but I'm struggling to get any enthusiasm. Even people are enthusiastic. We're in a semi-final. I'm not. I'm sad to say. My love for Spurs runs in every atom of my body, but I just can't. I used to buy all the tops for England, everything else. I've been let down so many times. I know until we actually win something, I can't restore my English soul. It needs reinvigorating, and it just isn't there at the moment. We'd have to win this tournament for me to believe in England again. And put your energy behind them. That's the thing. You've got to believe in your team to put your energy in behind them. Otherwise you don't. It becomes the tournament's been a dull fest. I don't know. I don't want to jump ahead of Ian here. There have been some good performances. I mean, the best thing about the tournament is there's been performances from international players that have been good, that I'm sure we've all noted, right? Some Spurs players as well. Well, one in particular. So, yeah, that's okay. But other than that, I mean, some of the silly teams that went out, the few games I watched, I did enjoy watching Georgia. I did enjoy watching Romania a bit earlier. I thought they moved the ball quickly. I thought, why don't we do that? You know what I mean? And France have been boring. Germany, all right, they started well, but although they were favourites because they're a home team going into the competition, should give you an edge. But deep down, I don't think anybody really thought that Germany were as good as other candidates in this tournament. You could have put 2 or 3 teams ahead of Germany anyway, and the teams have got through, really. The Dutch actually have kicked on a bit. We knew they could be good defensively when our man can't get in the team. And up front, but the only other question their front three is like, I think they're a bit aging now, the Dutch front three, and maybe they're not as good. They're nowhere near as good as previous Dutch front threes anyway.
Right. Well, I'll come on to the preview of the Dutch game because I think their defence is going to be an interesting subject of conversation. But let's talk about England last night in particular. Brad, what did you make of the performance?
Well, first of all, it was a hysterical night or day for me. I went to a pub that I don't normally go to, and the first thing was they told me, all in here is all booked out, but we've got a TV outside. And we're giving away blankets if it's cold. I thought, that's a good start. I went outside. It was undercover. But you could hardly see the screen. It was one, when the sun's on you and you got the screen. Right? Yeah. So we had that problem. And then, of course, people started turning up, and it seemed to be some sort of kid's birthday party or something. There were millions and millions and millions of kids just running around, creating havoc. So that was happening. We had a hailstorm during the game, but luckily we were undercover. We managed to get out of that. And the other thing was they were showing it on BBC iPlayer, and occasionally the stream stopped. So, of course, the TV screen there was about a minute or so behind the TV screen in the main pub. So I went in to get drinks in the main pub, seen something, went outside with my drinks and watched it again. So it was just one of those hysterical nights. And if anyone watches Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, there were so many possible Larry David moments there. There was a big sign that says at 7 o'clock, all children must leave the pub. And of course, 7 o'clock comes around. All right, Eric, get them out, sort of thing. But yeah, and then when we had the penalties, I said, well, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it out there. I'm going to watch it inside. So we all went inside for the penalties, which was actually live. And which brings me on to the game. I thought England started a bit more positively, but that lasted about 10, 15 minutes, and then it went back to same old. And again, went the goal down. I mean, I'm sick of seeing my teams go a goal down in every game they play. Spurs do it all the time. And then they didn't do much in extra time. To be fair, I don't think either goalie had a lot to do. Saka's goal was brilliant. It was a thing. At last, he's done what he does for Arsenal every week: gets the ball on his shot and has a long shot and scores. And then we get to the penalty shootout, and I have to say that's probably the 5 best penalties I've ever seen England play. It was absolutely brilliant. And I will give a positive thing on Gareth Southgate here. We all disagree with his tactics, myself included. We all think we're boring, myself included. We've somehow got ourselves through the semi-final. But from a penalty point of view, we've actually won 3 out of the last 4 penalty shootouts in modern games under Gareth Southgate. So I think he's instilled something there in our players, that sort of having no fear. And I think that came to fruition last night when our penalties were virtually perfect. And even you got a player like Saka who, everyone, we're all Spurs here, but we're England fans. If you're following England, your heart's in your mouth. Saka is an England player. He's not an Arsenal player. He's an England player when he's playing for England. My heart was in my mouth when he stepped up to take that penalty after what happened in the final 2 or 3 years ago. And he put it home. So, as Paul Merson would say, he put it home with a plum. But
absolutely.
I thought, and Southgate, he's got us to 2 semi-finals, a final and a quarter-final in major tournaments. That's not bad.
No, Brad, I've got my sort of notes for the show. England's performance, Kane, subs, penalties. You've covered the penalties. You've covered the performance. What about? And I'll ask the others as well. Harry Kane's performance, because if you've been following me on social media, you'll know my strong views on this, and the substitutions that Southgate made.
Well, Southgate, for a start, should be making these substitutions a lot earlier in the games. He's waiting. He should be proactive rather than reactive. I think we can all agree on that. As far as Harry Kane is concerned, he looks tired. He doesn't look very fit. I'm wondering whether he did have a back problem and missed the last couple of Bundesliga games. I wonder how major that actually is. I've read quotes from him today that says he'll be ready. He'll be fit for the semi-final. And apparently, when he ironically went rollicking into Southgate, he said he felt some sort of cramping in his calves, and that's why he got taken off. So I think it was an injury thing rather than a tactical thing. Southgate's substitutions, I said when we got through against Slovakia, when we're 2-1 up in extra time and he took Kane and Belling off, that reminded me in 1970, England versus West Germany, when he took Bobby Charlton off and we were 2-1 up and we lost 3-2. Luckily, we got away with it against Slovakia. He's and the thing about the substitutions, when he does make them, the players make a difference. Cole Palmer comes on and makes a difference. Tony comes on, makes a difference. Why not make changes?
I was going to say, is Southgate too cautious? Is that the problem?
Because if we've got to go all the way back to the final against Italy. Now, maybe age has got my memory going all funny, but we went 1-0 up in 3 minutes. And I thought we totally outplayed Italy for the first half hour of that game. And then we suddenly thought, no, we're going to sit on this 1-goal lead. And we allowed Italy back into the game, and they eventually won the game. If we'd have gone for it at 1-0 up after half an hour and just gone for it, attack, we could have got a second, could have got a third and won the tournament, but we didn't. So, yeah, he definitely is too cautious, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. But I live in hope. Adrian, what you said about the enthusiasm, I live in hope that when we play on Wednesday night, we suddenly see an absolutely brilliant England performance. If we get to the final, I hope maybe we might have another brilliant England performance. So it's just that.
Before I bring the others in, there's David Clark's comment there. Southgate has had the easiest qualifying groups and round-robin groups in all the last 3 tournaments and hasn't won bugger all.
Well, David, I know David. I don't know him personally, but he's been on a lot of these chats. Yeah, I mean, you can say that. You can say, but that's how it works out in tournament football. You take that. It's like like saying, oh, Man City won the FA Cup when they played teams from the 3rd division. Or the 2nd division is now. It happens in football. You've just got to go along with that. You got to win whoever's placed in front of you. And I bet you if we'd have got through the tournaments playing really decent opposition, people would still be criticising Southgate without a shadow of a doubt. So I get the point, but I personally don't use that as a thing against Southgate.
Tom, any thoughts?
I thought we were poor, but since getting to the semi-final, I've changed my outlook. I wanted to enjoy watching England, and now I'm like, as long as we win, are we actually going to remember about the great performances we've done or anything like that? We're not, are we? It's as much as it's a cliche, it's tournament football. You have to just win your games, and I say that we've only won 1 in 90 minutes, but we're getting through the rounds. He's just unbelievably negative. And people say cautious. I'm going to use a word that's probably not too nice. I just think he's a bit of a coward, to be honest with you. He plays cowardice football. He would rather lose. It feels like he would rather lose 1-0 and not make a substitution that causes us to lose 2-0 than actually try and go for the win. Like it very much felt a bit like when we had Jose and at Spurs, and Mourinho, he almost would rather lose a game 1-0 than try and go for it and lose it 2-0. It's just balmy to me. And going on to Kane, I mean, I love Kane. I was gutted he went. and I would love nothing more than to see him lift that trophy. He hasn't looked good, but we're not playing a system that suits him. Kane has always thrived off of having fast, pacey players outside of him to do the running for him. But you've got Foden, who is coming into the spaces to pick up the ball, wants it into his feet. You've got Bellingham, who wants the ball into his feet. You've got Saka, who also wants the ball into his feet so he can dribble past the man rather than actually running in the space behind. You know, the game the other day before Switzerland, Slovakia, the one time we played a ball into Kane's feet and he had a runner going past him, we scored an offside goal from it, because Kane was able to turn quickly, play that ball through to the fullback, which is Trippier, who squared it to Foden, who was offside. But we're just not playing a system. And also, if you look at Bellingham this season, he's played in a Real Madrid team where again he's had fast wingers running either side of him, and we're just not playing to the strengths of those players. They're your world class players, and if that means you have to not play a Foden to get the best out of Kane and Bellingham, then don't play Foden. Or, to be honest, towards the end, after Southgate made the subs in Switzerland, Bellingham started playing deeper, and he was then running onto the ball or running with the ball rather than with his back to goal. Bellingham, from what I've seen in this tournament, can't play with his back to goal. He just can't seem to do it. He is much better at being that box crasher that's just bombing in at the last moment to get that ball or driving forward with it. So play him deeper. Then let Foden do his thing that he wants to do, and then have those fast swingers on the side, be it a Gordon, be it a Bowen, be it whoever it is. Have those runners that a Kane can hit, have those runners that a Bellingham can hit, and then you'll start seeing the better of them. And especially if Kane's had an injury as well, which he has, he's not going to be fit, but you can't not play Kane. Because the thing is, everyone's saying, oh, Kane, he shouldn't start. Okay, so he doesn't start him in the next game and we don't win. Then what's everyone going to be saying? Oh, why didn't he play Kane? How can you not play our best goal scorer ever?
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Has he had, from memory, he's had 3 chances in this tournament, scored 2 goals and hit the bar on the other one?
Yeah. Yeah, he's barely got any service in any way, shape, or form. And the one cross that did come into him from Saka was a deflected cross as well. It wasn't even like it was actually put to him. It was, it was a deflected cross that ended up on his head. Like he's been clinical when he's needed to be clinical, when he's got the chance. You're just not seeing a world-class striker get the service that he needs to be able to do it. That being said, you could argue that, yeah, he probably could be doing a little bit more, try and get himself involved in the game more. But then you see the classic, oh, why is he dropping deep? Why is he doing this? It's a very difficult one. But I just think it all stems from Southgate just playing really negative, cowardice football. And that he'd rather it be 0-0, go to penalties. And okay, yeah, we've probably got the best penalty takers in the world by the seeming of things. Tony taking a penalty without even looking at the ball is just ludicrous. But so okay, yeah, that might work. But I think this next game against Netherlands is going to be the proof in the pudding, right? Netherlands are not going to sit back.
I'll come on for the preview in a sec, Tom, if I can. That's okay. You just get ahead of me, and I'll try and stick to the batting order if I can. What about the penalties? What were your thoughts on the penalties?
Yeah, I mean, penalties, they were great. Like every single penalty was they knew where they were going before they got up there, and they stuck to their plan, and they did what they wanted to do. I was watching it with my friend from work because we didn't finish work until 5 o'clock. Luckily he lives on site where I work, so we just quickly ran up to his and watched it. But as soon as Saka stepped up, I genuinely thought he was going to miss. I just thought it's going to be that moment he misses. And to be honest, his penalty, it hit the side netting. But if you actually watch it, he scuffed that penalty. He did not connect with that cleanly like he wanted to do. But any penalty is a good penalty if it goes in, right? So you just have to accept that. And we were done a massive favour by Akanji's penalty being absolutely awful. Getting that one penalty miss straight away. Suddenly it meant that when Trent was stepping up for that penalty, even if he missed, we still had a chance of winning. So there's the pressure is completely taken off. I mean, yeah, great penalties, but I'd much rather we won a game in 90 minutes.
Oh, so would I. 3 or 4-0.
And also,
Jose, have you changed your name?
Sorry,
Have
if I change.
translated that?
No, there's someone in the chat. Right, what I'm doing is
Has
I'm.
cambiado tu nombre.
Yeah, no, what I've
Have
done.
changed your name, isn't it?
No, yeah, what I've done is I'm dual streaming this to my channel as well to get more numbers in,
Oh,
and so I can see the people that are on my channel watching this.
oh,
Right, that's why your
okay.
chat. That's why the chat is popping. Right, but one of the guys that's in the chat, his account's been hacked, and he sent me a message today that he's telling me his account's been hacked. So now that I'm seeing he's in the chat with a different name, I'm asking whether it's actually him,
Right.
and to verify, I've actually messaged him on the phone as well to try and see
Okay.
whether this is a hacked account that's watching us.
We're not talking Sean, are we?
No,
No, okay.
Sean.
That's fine.
But on Twitter earlier, Sean is down to be on Last Word on Spurs tonight.
Yeah, I messaged him today because like I was getting messages through the Spurs Diehards Facebook group, and people were asking me what's happened with Sean and all that. So he did message me a while back when I asked him to come on one of the earlier shows and said he'd been hacked. So I messaged him back. I said, look, lots of people are asking about you, Sean. You are and all that. And he did message me back, and he said, I'm back tonight. I'm back tonight. And I'll put it in
Okay.
a Facebook group as well. So
Yeah,
Sean's back.
I saw that he's due to be on Last Word on Spurs tonight. So
Well, hopefully it's all right. Okay,
Yeah.
Jose, let's have your thoughts on your other team, England.
I'm not going to go in on Southgate because everyone's done that. The facts of the matter are, and they are facts, they can't be disputed, is that he's taken England to 4 tournaments. And in the 4 tournaments, they've reached 1 final, 2 semi-finals, and a quarter-final. So he's done better than other managers. Do we like the football he plays? Possibly not. But he's got further with his teams than other managers have. And probably you would turn around and say some better managers with better CVs have not got England this far.
No.
Obviously, you got to play who's in front of you. We know that. But what I will say is I thought England played better yesterday. They looked more cohesive, not for the whole 90 minutes. Or sorry, not for the whole 120 minutes. But at times they looked more cohesive than what they have done in previous games. And just as everyone says that Southgate's lucky with the draws that England get the splits and stuff like that, just so happens that they're in a semi-final now against Holland, and they've probably got their balance back on the left-hand side because Luke Shaw may well start the game now. You've got Mark Guehi to come back. Ezri Konsa did really well, but Guehi will step back into that team as well. So England defensively should look stronger, and the balance of the team should be far better. I was crying from day one that England should have played Saka at left back, regardless of where they've got to now. You know what the results have been. I felt that Saka should have played left back. That's where he started for Arsenal. That's where he started for England, playing at left back in the left back position, or at left wing back position. But that's where he played, and England have looked so imbalanced every single game. Trippier's a good player, but him playing at the left back position, they've looked so imbalanced, it's beyond belief. Foden playing out on the left has to do a lot of the defensive work because of not having a natural left footer on that side of the pitch. And that's imbalanced the whole team. And then people have gone in on Foden saying, well, and Foden's meant to be this, that, and the other. Yesterday, Foden was allowed to play in the 10 position. And I thought Foden actually popped his head over the parapet for the first time in the tournament yesterday. At the end of the day, Harry Kane looks knackered to me. I think he's still carrying an injury from the end of the German season. But Harry Kane, as we know ourselves, 6 years ago, Harry Kane was unfit, played in the final for us. Harry Kane will always play in the big games, even when he's unfit. I don't know why. I don't know whether he's got the power and the potion over managers, but managers seem to select him when he's not 100% in the big games. I have no doubts, unless he breaks his leg, which I hope he doesn't, then Harry Kane will be playing against Holland. With the Holland team, you're quite right.
I'll come on to it. I'm going to stop you as well because I'm going to come on to the Netherlands in a minute.
So with England, I think playing Kobe Mainu is an absolute revelation. Kobe Mainu, it's not his own fault, but Kobe Mainu was injured at the start of the season. So the one player who hasn't played as much football as the rest of them throughout the season is Kobe Mainu. And he looks fresher than the rest of the players. And you can see that because he hasn't had a long, arduous season. He's been injured for the first 4 months of the season. So he looks quite fit. I think England, in all honesty, England should have the beating of Holland on Wednesday. I don't know. You're going to talk about Holland after. I think England. I think England have got to beat Holland. I'll explain why when we talk about the Dutch later.
I'll come to it. Any thoughts on the penalties? I mean, the reason I'm saying I've got a view, but I'll give my view after. I haven't said much myself, so that's good.
On the penalties,
yes, I'm doing so well.
I think the one thing about Mr. It's not me, but I hear the word boring Southgate, and for Mr. Boring Southgate, I think that him and his team leave no stone unturned, and they would have practiced penalties. They would have practiced everything and all eventualities. I mean, they bring speakers into the camp, don't they, from different sports and from different professions and environments, and speak to them about certain things that you can correlate towards football. If you're in this position, you're in that position. If this happens, if that happens. So I think that you can call him boring and whatever, but he brings people in and they discuss absolutely everything, and they train for absolutely every eventuality as well.
Did you hear what happened during Euro 96 under Terry Venables, in which Southgate was one of the players? He got him to practice penalties by going up to taking a penalty and telling David Seaman, whoever's in goal, I'm going to put this penalty right there, and actually telling the goalkeeper where they're going to put the penalty. And he said most of the players got 2 out of 3 penalties, and what that meant was when they went into the actual final, into actually penalties, they were confident that where they're going to put the ball, they would score, because they'd actually told the keeper in training, I'm going to put it there, and 2 out of 3 times they'd score the penalty. So I just wonder whether he's used that sort of tactics as well when they've been practicing penalties.
But it didn't get them far. It didn't get them far in the '96 final, did it?
No, that's wrong. We beat Spain. We beat Spain in one of them. But yeah,
I went to the Spain-England game at Wembley in the quarterfinal.
I was there as well.
And
yeah,
Spain scored a legitimate goal that was well onside, and Spain were all over England that day.
They were, yeah.
But England,
so again, we got the result.
England did come out on penalties. I was there. I was at that game as well in '96.
I was 4 years old.
Right, okay. On
in the corner.
That's all right. I don't mind. Like, I would like to hear what the guests have to say anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The game, and then I'll go penalties, right? Right. The game itself, we were better, right? I thought you had. I mean, there was me. What do I know about football? I wanted Saka dropped for this game, and Jared Bowen brought in because he's more aggressive, less likely to go down and all that. And then Saka comes up with that wonder goal and probably plays well. And shout out to Mainu as well, who I wouldn't play in the next game. If I was picking the team, and Concert, I thought they were 3 best players. But having said that, look, let's be honest. Even though we were better and we had a lot of the ball, in the final third and the more threatening positions, Switzerland were better, especially in the second period of extra time. They were better than us. I mean, a little bit of luck goes their way. A couple of crosses come in, they would have got on the end of one of them, and we'd be out. So when you look at our luck, we got a deflection in the first game, which spun up and give Bellingham his due. He made up a lot of ground from midfield to head that ball in the net. In the second game, the ball deflected across the penalty area. Kane got it. He puts that away. In the third game, we have a wonder goal overhead kick by Bellingham to get us through, right? And you're wondering how much more luck we've got. And then in his fourth game, it goes to penalties.
Adrian, that game against Slovakia, we were 1-0 down where we misplaced that pass with the keeper way out of his goal, and they literally missed the open goal. That ball was wide. So you do wonder whether we've got fate on our side.
Yeah, they didn't have Jamie Donnelly. He did that for the under-21s and put it in the net. But I mean, so I mean, my feelings, it was better, but not nothing for me to get excited about. I'm sorry. I mean, I just can't. And I'm a passionate fan. And I'm, like I say, I'm not glass half empty or half full person. I'm a glass 75% full with Spurs all the time. So, like I've always said, I wouldn't leave my house. I'm fortunate enough to live about a mile and a half from the ground. I can walk there. I wouldn't go to a game if I thought we were going to lose, but I could not say that about England at all. You know,
paraphrasing one of my lyrics, I'm a half full glass, but the glass is very small.
It's a good lyric. It's a good line. Yeah. So, I mean, Holland, we've got every chance. I mean, I'm waiting for a game, and like Holland will come at us, so that'll be more space. What I wanted, even in the last game, my lineup, there was rumours about playing a back 3, you know, and rumours about the midfield. And Mainu's done well. I still would like to see Bellingham play alongside Rice as a ball carrying Gaza-style number 8, who can get forward and put that split defensive pass through to one of our strikers. Because my argument is, if you play Bellingham in a number 8 role, your 3 then can be, I like Foden, I know he's been crap, but he's too good to leave out, I think. I know that's also probably a bad thing to say. Then I would play Kane as the number 10, because he plays as a number 10 when he plays anyway. Then, all right, Saka, all right. And then that, with Kane as a 10, you could play Ollie Watkins as a number 9, and he's got the pace to run in behind, right? And I think that would give you a lot better balance. If need be, you take Foden off and give it a bit of pace, like Tom rightly said about the lack of pace there, right? But you could do that. But you know, I see Southgate's not going to listen to me. I mean, I just think with Kane behind Watkins, I think it'd be good. I only think the only reason Tony came on in that game was because we wanted to open for a bit of aggression in the box to ruffle up the Slovakian defence to get a goal. And as it happens, there was a nice little dink header over to Kane who buried it, right? So I don't think Tony's. I don't know where Tony is in the pecking order regard to strikers pecking order. I would go for Watkins first personally, especially against the Dutch, because you're going to get space against. Now whether they might press us out of it, I don't know, but you'll get space. Anyway, back to you, Ian, before I waffle on.
So that again,
I said back to you before I waffle on.
Oh, no, that's okay.
I mean,
before I come on, because Adrian's obviously given us a little bit of a preview of the Dutch game, and I'll give you a couple of thoughts of mine. I mean, first of all, Brad hinted at it. I mean, I remember coming out of the Barcom restaurant. I watched the Champions League final of in Madrid, and the first thing I heard was effing Pochettino. And the effing Pochettino was down to the fact that he played Harry Kane. And 7 pints, hi Mark. 7 pints of scrumpy or 7 pints of beer. I don't think Kane is anywhere near fit. I think sometimes you look at his movement and it's laborious. And much as he's never going to be the quickest to shut down, I'm watching him closely and think he's conserving his energy at every opportunity. And I personally don't think he should be in the side. And I think the fact is when he comes deep, the system that isn't allowing players to come to run into the spaces. I don't like the shape. I don't like the performance. And I think we've been getting away with it. The problem is, that Southgate isn't going to change it. I mean, if I were picking that side, and I agree about Bellingham and Foden, they're just too good to be left out. So I would try and find a system that would accommodate them, and I would leave Kane out. So I would be playing a back 4 of Walker, Gooey, Stones, and thankfully now we've got a proper left back in Shaw. I would be playing a 3-man midfield as the holding player with Declan Rice, and allowing almost Spurs-like Bellingham and Foden to play further forward in advanced roles, trying to push on and do the damage where they do the damage in the opposition third. Saka wide left, wide right, Anthony Gordon wide left, and then you've got a proper left side of the field with Shaw and with Anthony Gordon, and I'd be playing Cole Palmer up front. I love his mobility. I love his directness. You've got 4 choices, if you like, with Watkins and Tony and Kane. That's the side I would like to play, and I would rather die wondering than carry on playing this.
It's interesting what you said about Kane, Ian, because I know there's a difference of about 8 or 9 years, but Portugal, I think we saw the end of Ronaldo's international career, certainly in tournaments in their last game, and I think a lot of Portuguese people are saying, why are we playing him? He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
I think he's getting the same sort of, criticism.
I guarantee he will be in this.
He's at the World Cup. He's in the World Cup.
100%.
He's got bigger balls than the manager. He'll be in the World Cup.
Yeah.
He may not be in the next Euros, but he'll be in the World Cup.
Yeah. But I'm just saying the criticism about Kane's maybe we should drop him. I think that's what a lot of the Portuguese fans are saying about Ronaldo at the moment.
Yeah.
I just think with Kane, if you play the right players around him, you get the best out of him. I just think you're playing so like him, Foden, Bellingham, and Saka all want the ball to their feet. You can't have 4 players occupying the same space that all want the ball to their feet. I definitely think Bellingham should be playing deeper, 100%. And then if you get a Gordon on the left, to be honest, if not Gordon, play Ollie Watkins on the left. He's played there plenty of times in the past. I'm not a fan of Kane playing as a 10 because he always drops into 10. I think the reason why he has so much success is because he's a striker that moves into that space, which catches people out by surprise. But yeah, so I think there's so much you could do. I just think, unfortunately, with our manager, he hasn't changed in the 5 games we played so far. So why he's not going to change now? He's not going to. The only positive is that I almost am certain that Luke Shaw will play, and I think that will actually make a huge difference because the amount of times attacks have died going to Trippier, who then passes it back to Rice, who then passes it back to Stones, who then passes it back to Rice. It's just the same constant sequence, and I think actually having Shaw, who in that time that he came on, he put 3 or 4 crosses in the box, like more crosses than we had done in all the other ones. Like I didn't like Trent at centre midfield in any way, shape or form, but he's actually created the most chances for us in this tournament, and he's only played 2 games. And I think actually the main reason why Trent didn't work in that position is, again, you didn't have wingers that wanted the ball in the spaces behind. Like he's a player that's going to play that Hollywood pass, and he had no one to pass it to. Again, not advocating for Trent to be in the midfield in any way, shape or form. I'd rather have Mainu there, or like I said, I'd rather have Bellingham there. But I think we just need to be realistic. He's going to play the same team that he's played the whole tournament, but with Shaw at left back instead of Trippier.
I think that's probably right. I'm struggling to disagree with any of that. I want to. I absolutely want to think you're talking nonsense, but you're not. That's. I think you're pretty well spot on.
I want to as well. I want to hope that I'm completely wrong. But my only one positive is I just think against a team that's going to not park the bus, we might be a bit better with those players.
Well, let's hope, because we can't win a tournament like this. I mean, seriously. I mean, it would be almost embarrassing. But,
I was going to say, do you mean can't because we physically can't, or can't because with no one will want to go out in public?
No, physically can. That's what bothers me. I just think it would be embarrassing. But I've got a thought on the penalties as well, guys, before we move on to a little bit more preview, because most of you have touched on it, is with these penalties. It just strikes me that there's been a massive amount of work done with the behavioural scientists, with the sporting psychologists on the training ground. Just the way they were so single-minded in the way they went up and took their penalties. Yeah, they did them the ones we know took them the way their clubs do. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, you always think Tony's going to do it like a toe poke as we did in the under-11s, but he's a bit better than that. But I was particularly impressed with Saka because, you know, the negativity must have been going through his head. There's no way you can avoid that. And it must have been, you know, when you saw him doing those big, deep breaths, that's stuff that the psychologists work on. And I mean, all right, he did.
We were doing that in the pub as well.
He did, yeah. Well, he did slightly scuff it. I'll give you that. But if you're going to scuff it into the side of the inside of the net, because no goalkeeper anywhere is going to get it. And I just think for all that, there's been a lot of professionalism about the way we've gone about our work, even if it's not the kind of professionalism we'd like to see in terms of flair football. Because as Spurs supporters, let's be honest, we're brought up on flair football. That's what our club stands for. You know, to dare is to do. Knowing our luck, Southgate will win the Euros, get knighted a 2-year extension, and be done for treason and placed in the Tower of London. Mark, I've got good news for you. Treason is the only offence on the statute book in the United Kingdom that still carries the death penalty. So there's hope yet.
I really hope Southgate does the honourable thing, and if he does win this, he just goes, right, I've done my bit. because
he's already agreed a 2-year contract.
You can't sack him after this, but you can't sack him after. If he wins it, you can't sack him. Like you just that's of course you can't. But at the same time, do we really want to see this again at another?
But I think he's verbally agreed a 2-year contract.
Really, I thought he more or less hinted that this would be it: win, draw, or lose.
They're saying there's a verbal agreement in place for him to stay for 2 years. I suppose it's very dependent on what happens on Wednesday and possibly what happens on Sunday. If he doesn't win anything and they go out in the semis or they lose the final, then decision could be that he withdraws the verbal agreement that he's got. But if he wins it, he stays on for another 2 years till the World Cup.
Yeah, I was under the impression that he's going anyway. That's why I got annoyed at people asking for him to be sacked. And I think, well, he's going anyway at the end of the tour. But I mean, I could be wrong. Might have misread something.
I rather thought he might go as well. But I mean, maybe would he not go out on a high if he wins this, or do you think the temptation to try and do the double would be too much?
I mean, I would if I was him. If I knew that the country hated me that much as the manager, if I'd won it, I'd be like, yeah, done my bit. See you later, guys. Like you wouldn't stick it out again.
Tom, they do.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly about Tuesdays and Wednesdays semi, and then we'll get on to some Spurs stuff because we are a Spurs channel. Jose, first of all, your thoughts on España y France?
Spain will beat France. Got no qualms about it at all. Spain don't dither. They don't mess about. They're not like the French. The French just park buses. They don't defend. They don't attack. They just purely defend. And they're a one-man defence because it's just purely Kante that's kept them going in this tournament. Rodri and Kante will be interesting when they both match up against each other. But Spain will attack. Spain ain't going to be like the other teams that have played against them. And Spain will attack more than what Portugal did. And if you don't score with one, you'll score with another. I fully expect Spain to beat France. Spain have been the best team in the competition so far. And the thing about Spain is if you've been watching them, once they score a goal, they don't do like, let's get into our shells and let's like defend for the rest of the game. They go out looking for a second goal. They go out looking for a third goal. The people that watch Spain versus Croatia, you had a 3-man midfield for Croatia. Forget about ages. Age is just a number. They had 373 international caps between the three players, and Spain made them look like school kids on a park. And then when they played Italy, it was only 1-0, but they smashed and played Italy off the park. Italy weren't even at the races against Spain. Albania, they had a whole changed team. Against Georgia, Spain went 1-0 down, although they had all the play until then. They went 1-0 down. And then they went equalised, but they didn't sit on that. They went and scored another 3 goals on top of that. Spain don't mess about. And I think this will be France's toughest game. But Spain won't be there parking buses and being defensive and stuff like that. Spain will go out for the win, and I fully expect them to beat France.
How many? What do you think?
You only have to score, but we have to score one more goal than the other team. So I'm not going to be greedy. Just as
Vindaloo is on showing on the on-stage comment there. So yeah, we're going to score one more than you. Tom, what are your thoughts first of all about the game on Tuesday, France and Spain?
I mean, from an England perspective, I actually hope you're right and Spain do get through to the final, because a France-England final, both sitting back playing negative football, is going to be the most dull affair ever. I actually think England will do better against a team that goes for them. So, I think a Spain-England final is definitely probably advantageous for England. But again, having a team that's going to go at us. I mean, I if you ask me, I think France will win, but I hope Spain do.
Why do you think France will beat Spain?
Boring football wins tournaments. it does, doesn't it? Like Portugal won the Euros playing boring football. France have never played exciting football for the last few years, and yet they've still won tournaments. Like the only reason why it seems exciting is because you've had Mbappe bombing it from the halfway line, but they always, it's very Mourinho, Conte-esque. Park lots of players behind the ball, quickly get it up there, attack, score a goal, and done. I think France might be a bit too physical for Spain. And I think that might be there. I think Spain have a physical player in Rodri, 100%. But when you look at their France's defence and compared to Morata, Yamal, and Nico Williams, although they've got the pace and the trickery, I just think they might get bullied a little bit.
What do you make of the fact that I suppose Mbappe is a bit like Kane, both talisman players, neither of them fit, neither of them playing well?
You can't play well all the time, but you can have moments, and that is the thing with a Kane and with an Mbappe. Mbappe, he could, again, he's one of those players, he's annoying. He could do nothing for 88 minutes and he'll just then suddenly get the ball, run past 5 players and stick it in the goal. And my one thing with him, he just seems, this mask, he seems to be putting a lot of blame on the mask for everything. And you can see every time something happens that he doesn't like, the mask comes off. I reckon that's fully getting in his head, or at least he's using it as a bit of an excuse for himself as well. But it wouldn't surprise me if Mbappe just decides to step up and score numerous goals on Tuesday.
All right, it's 1-1 so far then. Going to be a tight semi-final.
But I think with the Mbappe thing reminds me of Portugal with Ronaldo. If they dropped Mbappe, France would look a better team. Same as Portugal. Portugal would drop Ronaldo, they'll look a better team because then you attack with the whole of the team and not through one person. Like it's like a funnel. It's just through the one person. And France having Mbappe suffer from that badly. If you take Mbappe out of the team, right, and you play with a different player, and it doesn't matter who you play with, just not Mbappe, France will look a different proposition.
I do definitely agree with that. I disagree slightly with the whole Kane thing because we don't try to use Kane at all for England, which is probably our biggest problem. Like
I never said Kane. I said Ronaldo and Mbappe.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, you know, Ronaldo shooting from anywhere, gets sulks when he doesn't get the ball. I think 100%. I do also think that Deschamps is, again, a bit boring. Like the midfield he's playing 3 defensive midfielders all the time, and I just don't think that's progressing the ball up the pitch particularly well for France. And I mean, playing like Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Kante, or Rabiot, they're all very defensive players. There isn't a player there that's going to unpick a lock as such. But I don't know. I just wonder if the physicality of France will be too much for young Spain. I hope not. I'd love to see Spain in the final just from an entertainment value, if nothing else. But France just seem inevitable, don't they?
He was famously called a water carrier, and he's got a few in his team.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to bring Brad in, but before that, special good evening to one of our partners on this show, Queen Ellie Hoyler.
Hello, Ellie.
She's going to have to change her name soon, I suspect. We'll come on to transfers once we finish the.
Pick a lot of Spanish surnames, Ellie.
I haven't said much. I just want to ask you a question, Jose. So, if it is a Spain-England final, are you going for the paella or the bland English steak?
I'm gonna have paella. I'm gonna have calamares. I'm gonna have pulpo. I'll have the bland steak. I'm gonna have the roast beef, and I'm gonna have the fish and chips. I'm gonna have the whole lot. I'm gonna have a banquet.
Oh, you haven't got half and half scarf because they should be banned as well.
I haven't got an half and half scarf, but I'm definitely going to be on a winner. I'm going to be on a winner all the way. I called for it to start the competition because you could see that if the teams won their groups, you could see that England and Spain would avoid each other. And I was hoping for an England-Spain final when it started. When we got to the stage of the last 16, with Belgium and France not winning their groups, I thought to myself, well, England have got even more chance now of getting to that final. But Spain have got a bit of a harder route, but they'll still get there. So it's still on. For me, it's still on.
Right.
Brad, while you're talking, I'm just gonna go and top up my orange juice. So you carry on for a bit.
Well, I as people who know me, I'm a fountain of useless sort of knowledge. But and it's a different sport, admittedly. When England won the 2003 Rugby Union World Cup, they had a documentary on their training and Woodward and all sort of stuff. And one of the bits of training they did was peripheral vision training. They actually trained them on peripheral visions. I don't know how they did it. You've got an idea of where things are because your peripheral vision's in there, and you're trained to know that. When you're wearing a mask, that really takes a lot of your peripheral vision out. So I'm just wondering how much that mask does affect Mbappe in his ability to play. But anyway, that's just a point that
before he got his nose broken, he was playing without a mask and he was still shit.
Well, I just put that point through about playing with masks. Maybe it does have some effect in that. As far as the game's concerned, I agree. Spain should win comfortably, but I don't think they will. I've just got this feeling that it's an England-France final. That's the only thing. No, nothing tactically about it. Nothing ability-wise. I've just got this feeling that France and England are seen to be stumbling into the final.
I'll see you all a week today.
Yeah, no. Look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just got this feeling. As I say, it's not based on any knowledge of football. It's just based on the way things tend to go, and I just think that might be what happens. Personally, I prefer an England-France final because I think we owe France one, to be honest, for the quarterfinal in the World Cup. And here's my prediction: England-France final, 0-0 into injury time. England get a penalty. Harry Kane steps up, scores. We win 1-0. Wouldn't that be great?
Just before I bring Adrian back in, Kev was saying, Ian, have you seen Tom eating tonight? Well, I've seen Tom eating on a number of occasions, usually on the bar at the south side after the games, and he's always eating bags of chips and fish and every piece of shit that you can imagine, and pints of beer, and he's built like a stick insect, the wee bastard.
Yeah, I hate people like that. Don't you just hate people like that?
Yeah. I eat like that, and I don't dare show my waistline anymore. So
we'll have to meet in the South Stand then.
One thing, Jose will know. One thing about I'm in Spain at the moment. I've got a place here. He's getting fresh oranges, 5 kilos, 5 kilos, €4, and.
Wow.
I've got a little machine, so I make the fresh orange juice, and it's heaven. It's absolute heaven. Who needs alcohol? Who needs alcohol?
Well, I was going to say, looking at Nita's point below there, the last thing where she says the ref always has a big part. This brings me to a point about these games: is that luck will play a big part in who wins this tournament as well. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you're, and this is what annoys me about VAR, if you're 2 inches or 2 millimeters offside because of this VAR, and you get a goal, where in under the old rule you'd be level with the player and wouldn't get a goal, that could play an important part in this whole tournament. It could come down to some really, I'm not saying dodgy because the VAR offside decision is supposedly based on fact, but it could come down to that where you have a decision that a player is just slightly offside, the goal's disallowed, and that could come down to that. So I think luck will play a part. Obviously, you've got to be the better team. That obviously plays a major part. But I think luck could raise its head in this tournament.
So, out of interest and curiosity, the first semi-final is obviously Spain v France. Yeah.
Yep.
So the likelihood is, and this is only a likelihood, that one of the English contingent will be the referee on that first game, because there was 2 on the first quarter. On this games on Friday, both the games were refereed by English. They had VAR and everything. It was all English. So they had 2 teams of English people that did the first set of games on Friday. So the likelihood is that one of them teams will end up doing the France-Spain game. Who would they prefer? Who would the referee side with?
Yeah.
Michael Oliver's out there, isn't he? Michael Oliver, he's out there.
Yeah, he did the first game. He did the Spain game.
Yeah, well, King Henry VIII always used to side with the country that was losing, didn't he? So if France had when France had wars with Spain, if France were like beating Spain, King Henry VIII would support Spain, and then vice versa. And
the current
whilst
champion.
it's all going on, he's building up our arm.
Yeah.
So you do wonder.
Right, boys, I'm going to bring this to order because I'm going to move it on. Adrian, just your thoughts on France, and then I'm going to have to talk briefly about the England game because we've covered it roundabout and what have you. So just some quick predictions. But talk to me about France and Spain on Tuesday.
I don't care who we get. So Spain are tipped because they've played the better football so far, haven't they? But France, to me, going into this competition, to me, they got the best squad. You think like they would perform but you can't underestimate them. Look, these are semi-finals. Any one of the 4 teams can win. I mean, any pair could get through out of those 4. I mean, you'd like it to be like clear-cut win for people who win rather than go to a dodgy decision, especially VAR getting involved. It just ruins things, doesn't it? I mean, like, you wouldn't want a Sissoko moment in a Champions League final deciding a game, would you? I mean,
can I stop you, Adrian? Has someone got the YouTube broadcast or something on in the background? Because I'm getting quite a lot of background noise. Has anyone got the YouTube show on alongside or telly?
Nope,
No, good. Carry on.
I haven't. If you get echo, we get echo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it's a hard call, isn't it? Have I got a preference for who gets through? Not really. Out of that game, not really. Why? You meet or you meet. Let us worry about getting past Holland first. I mean, like the Dutch look pretty.
That brings us neatly on. So let's have just because we've had quite a lot. So as I say, I do want to move it on. Sort of keep repeating the same thing time and again. What do we think about Wednesday? Do we think we'll beat Holland, and if so, why? Brad.
Yeah, as I say, no football reasons. I just think we're destined to get to the final. On a football reason, I agree with I think what Tom brought up earlier. Holland will probably come at us and play football, which will probably be to our advantage. So I think it could be a very exciting game. We've certainly got the players. We certainly, to win. They've got a really good defence. The fact that Mickey van der Ven can't even get in it, or he comes on as left back every now and again, says a lot about their defence. But like France in a possible final, we owe Holland one as well. So yeah, I just have this feeling now that maybe England are destined to get there. So we'll see on Wednesday. But as I say, we've certainly got the players to do it. And maybe, as I was saying earlier, we might have that brilliant performance. It might suddenly appear, and we'll see ourselves in the final. I hope so, because I've got days booked off after the England game. So,
but before I bring Tom in, I want to highlight a couple up there, Adrian. That VAR was missing a lot in this tournament. Handball's calls were a joke. I actually think part of the problem is. With VAR it's in England we get it wrong. Everywhere else has got it right. They don't interfere with decisions unless they're clearly and manifestly wrong. And the game's much better for it. Yeah, we can argue about a player's, being a millimetre offside, and that wasn't the purpose. The problem is you've now got the technology to confirm as a fact that a player is or isn't offside. That's the can of worms that was opened when you brought in VAR. But I mean, I really like the way VAR operates. I hate it the way they do it in the Premier League. I don't think they've got a clue. And I think it was Riley, now it's Webb. Understand that you're not going to get perfection. And we don't want the game re-refereed, and we don't want taking it 10 minutes to re-referee the game. We'll continue to have problems.
What do you think of the snickometer that they're using now? Because that's hilarious.
Which
for
one
handballs.
was this?
They're using the snickometer. It's like, and this goes back to the whole thing about football. The attacking team is supposed to get the benefit of the doubt. So if you can't see a handball, then you give the benefit of the doubt to the attacking team.
Well, I have a friend, Brad. I have a friend who thinks that we're getting to the point where we have the hockey rule, where any handling of the ball in the penalty, any handling of the ball anywhere on the pitch is an offence. And obviously, if it's by a defender in his own penalty area or her own penalty area, it's a penalty kick. I personally hate that. I think they've been messing about with it. They can't get it right because they don't really understand.
Maybe us old uns in the top three have a different opinion to our young uns on the bottom, like who's probably been struck off Darren Southgate's Christmas card list. Tom, you've probably been struck off that now after your earlier comments, right? Yeah. I mean, whatever happened to the spirit of the law back in the day, guys, when we watched the kids? What happened with handball? I mean, even the ref might get the odd one wrong, but it's like when you see players with penalties given when they got their back to the ball and the ball hits hand. I mean, come on. I mean, I know a player could still deliberately put their hand there, like being cute if he thinks across, just to make himself.
Adrian, I do need to bring Tom in because I have gone off subject and it's my fault. But
go on.
The laws of the game have been changed 3 times because of decisions that have gone against Tottenham. I think the first one was when Andy Carroll headed the ball onto Eric Dyer's arm when, as you say, he had his back to it. And at least Steve Bruce had the good grace to be seriously embarrassed about the decision when we murdered them. We should have been. It shouldn't have mattered because we should have been 4 or 5 up. But the bottom line was they absolutely stole a point from us, and they changed the laws. The second one was the one where when Sheffield United were in the Premier League the last time, when, if you'll remember, Lucas Moura was sent A over T. The defender smacks the ball into him. It hits his arm, which is covering his head. Rolton Kane puts it in, and that's given handball. And to make it worse, the game restarts with an indirect free kick to or direct free kick to Sheffield United for handball. And then, of course, don't get me started on the Champions League final. On all 3 occasions, the laws of the game have been changed. So something's gone wrong when you're having to constantly change the law. When you make a law, you change the law, you think we've got it right, and bang.
It's like that's an unnatural position. Well, to me, if you're jumping like that, that's really unnatural.
Well, yeah, 100%.
If you're old enough to remember punk rock,
exactly.
That's not how you meant to defend.
No.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I've gone off topic.
No, it's
thoughts about a prediction for the game on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, well, just caveat back to that, yeah, 100%. Defending with your hands behind your back is not natural in any way, shape, or form. And just to throw in there, I definitely thought Cucurella handballed it against Germany the other night, but that's a whole nother story anyway. But I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. I think I'll be able to form an opinion of what's going to happen in the game in the first 5 minutes or after it kicks off. I think it'll be pretty obvious from there. I'm not scared of the Netherlands. None of their attackers scare me. So I think our defense, we've got a good defense. You know, the goals we've conceded have been quite unfortunate in some terms, although you probably could have conceded a few others for other calamitous mistakes we made and stuff. But I think our defense is pretty solid. I don't think Holland have created much chances. My biggest worry with Holland is actually set pieces. Because, and I hate to say this, without Maguire in the team, we're not really a force when it comes to defending nor attacking set pieces. Yet they have De Vrij, Van Dijk, Dumfries. You know, they have a lot. And if Van de Ven comes, although Van de Ven's not great with his head, to be honest with you, despite his massive size, you know, they've got a lot of players that are very good at winning the ball in the air. And I do worry that set pieces might be our undoing against the Netherlands. But yeah, I'm not scared of their attack. I'm quite interested by the midfield matchup because they're Reinders and Schouten. They look quite tidy on the ball. I'm assuming they're going to go with those two again. So yeah, I think it'll be an interesting matchup. But if I'm honest, I can see it. We go 1-0 down. We get back to 1-1. It goes to extra time. We might get a lucky goal in the 118th minute or something like that. I just my one worry is we've gone extra time twice now. Yeah, twice now. Like Netherlands haven't, so they probably will be a little bit fresher. Plus, I think Netherlands have done a bit of a better job at rotating their team in comparison to Southgate as well. So I just hope tiredness doesn't come into it. Although there is obviously a good rest period in between these games as well. So, but stick my neck on the line. Oh, let's be positive. I reckon 3-1 England in 90 minutes.
Hope you're right.
3-1. That means we have to put the ball in the opponent's goal.
It'll be 2 own goals and a penalty. But
we beat them 4-1 in Euro '96.
There as well. Was that game as well?
I was 4 years old then, so
yeah. Adrian, you want to add anything to what the boys have said already?
Interesting Tom remark, because coming into the tournament, every England fan I knew was worried about our defence, and our defence now seems to be solid, right? So that's the only thing I can really add to that. I mean, like if it's a question of tired legs, you could shuffle this squad. you could give Watkins a game if like Ian's worried, or Tony if Ian's worried like Kane's injured or knackered. You know, so there are players you could bring in. I mean, defenders, it's the fullbacks. You need a lot of energy to be a fullback in today's game. As a central defender, I'm not so worried about extra games, but the fullbacks then. But I hope Shaw starts. He gave us a bit of balance there. He's tidy on the ball, isn't he, as well, when you see him? Like, so I hope he starts. And then it's Walker on the right, isn't it? And like, it's the question whether Mainu plays alongside Rice. I don't think he's going to change the front four as much as I'd like it changed. He won't. He won't.
Okay.
The problem is as well, just sorry,
No, go on.
with the rotating the front four, he hasn't given hardly any of them a chance to even get a foot into the tournament. So, like, if you're changing any players now, they're coming in cold. Like, Palmer's probably the only one who's had a decent few minutes. Like, we just haven't really made enough subs or rotation to kind of get these players like a chance. Like, Gordon's had 2 minutes, and we're all crying out for him, but he's only played 2 minutes this tournament. It's you know, ridiculous. One thing that we didn't mention for the France Spain semi-final, there is a lot of suspended players in that game. And also on the ref thing, someone mentioned it in a chat, but I discovered it a little bit earlier as well. It's a Slovenian referee, so it's not an England. It's already been decided for that semi-final. No. But yeah, there is a lot of suspended players. I don't know who, but I remember yellow cards coming out left, right, and centre in the Spain-Germany game and in the Portugal-France game.
Some were incorrect yellows and attributed to the incorrect players at the time, because they said Alvaro Morata had got a yellow. He didn't get a yellow, so he's not. Right. The only player that I know that is definitely suspended for Spain is Dani Carvajal, because he got a red. So he's definitely suspended. He's a definite one.
The referee for France Spain is SVN. Is that Slovakian or is that
Slovenian?
Slovenian, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, luckily Spain have got a really good sub right back in Pedro Porro to. Oh wait, no, he didn't go. Did he?
Yeah. So who is going to contest next week's final? I mean, I'm a bit like Jose. I'm in Spain at the moment. I'll be here till a week tomorrow. So it'd be wonderful to be here in a local bar, although it'd be all English people in the bar. Watching
England,
Spurs,
Spain, isn't it?
England and Spain in the final. So I'm going to predict that, even though I've got little confidence in England's ability to beat the Netherlands. But
speaking of watching a game in the bar, they had I just caught it on the radio this morning. They had the owner of a German bar, and he says that the England fans that have been there are the best England fans he's ever seen. He said you should be proud of them. So, I mean, that's a bit of a real big positive of this tournament. There hasn't been the crowd trouble that we've used to in the past.
Absolutely.
But there was a big clampdown. There was a big clampdown before the tournament started, taking away all the passports from all the thugs from all the different clubs. And they were all handing in their passports a week before the tournament started.
Yeah.
I certainly saw some of the celebrations after Trent's penalty went in. Was it yesterday? God, the days. Yesterday. And they actually looked. I thought, they don't look like the usual bunch of yobs you see supporting. Yeah, they were probably all at the election camp celebrating the referendum party results. So, anyway, sorry, I'm not to do politics. I am not to do politics. 100 lines, Ian. I will not talk about politics.
Apart from the times that you do.
Let's move on.
Can we just say hello to Jamie Wooten, who's in the chat? He's got his England flag on. He's a Sheffield United fan, but he's out there with England. He's been to every single game.
Well done, Jamie.
Big up, mate. Jamie, big up.
Jamie's staying out there for every England game. So when England get knocked out, it's when Jamie's coming back. So Jamie, you've got another game to watch on Wednesday night. What was the game like yesterday, Jamie? Can you put some comments in for us and let us know what the game was like?
Yeah,
for the fans.
That would be really good. Must be wonderful for you to see a team winning a game as well. You know, I've got a good friend here.
Ellie, behave yourself. Ellie, behave yourself.
I want to talk about Tottenham Hotspur. Some of you may have heard of them.
Yeah.
Boys back in training. Solomon's back training. Udogi's back in training.
Yeah.
Valith is back. We've got Scarlett. We're back. We've got Parrott back. Phillips back.
Make it on.
Who?
Regulon?
Oh yeah, Reguilon. There's talk Man United are coming back in for Reguilon. We'll maybe come on to that, but from the boys that are coming back, any that we think should be into the first team? I mean, obviously Udogie will, but what do we think of Valith and Parrott and Scarlett and Solomon? What's your thoughts there? I'll start with you, Jose.
I think everyone until the window gets towards the first game of the season, we pretty much don't know what our squad's going to be looking like. At the moment, it's only looking like what it is now. At the moment, we don't know what outgoings and what incoming is going to happen between now and August the 18th. I think that's when our first game is. It August the 18th, 19th. It's on a Monday. We're playing it away to Leicester. So for the time being, everybody will be involved at Tottenham Hotspur Way in the pre-season training. I would have thought that most of the players that are going to stick with and not be sold will be going to the tour as well, and it will start panning itself out when we know who the outgoings and who the incomings are. So at the moment, I'm going to say everybody stays as part of the first team squad, but that will change throughout the transfer window. But so for me now, I'd give it to you'd like to see Villiers, Donnelly, Mikey Moore. You want to see these, even Ash Phillips. You want to see them all be given a chance on the tour at the moment. But you got to wait to see who comes in and who goes out, really, before we can get to answer your question fully.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Brad.
Yeah, I was interested in watching that video that the club put out, because most of the players, obviously, that have been out on loan and we're probably looking to sell as of July the 1st, are technically Tottenham Hotspur players, so they've got to come back to the first day of training. I'm not sure about Parrott's future at Tottenham. He's had a good season in the Dutch league, but then how strong is the Dutch league? We don't know. He's been at Tottenham a long time now. I think for his own career, I think he should maybe be loaned out or sold to another club and play. I think Dane Scarlett, I don't think he's quite ready for first team football at the moment, but he's a decent player and we should definitely have him in the squad, maybe loan him out. Who was the other player? Valise, I haven't seen enough of Valise, to be honest. And the same with Solomon. I haven't really seen enough of Solomon. But as Jose was saying, what players we get in between now and the first game of the season, could well judge the futures of these players like Solomon.
Troy Parrott wasn't one of the ones that was at training yesterday.
No, he wasn't. No.
And I've got a feeling that Troy Parrott hasn't come back because Troy Parrott played in the playoffs in Holland, didn't he?
So
after the season finished here, he was playing in Holland and he was on loan. He's playing in them playoff games, which lasted weeks after the Premiership had finished. So he may well be I don't know, he might have been given a week or so more than the others, or he could be getting a few days more than the others. So he was one of the ones that was missing yesterday. That wasn't on international. Mind you, he was on international duty as well for Republic of Ireland as well. So I think he's only been given a few days more probably. But everyone else that we expected to be back was back. The other thing is all the players that were injured at the end of last season were all back yesterday.
Yeah,
so Doggy, Solomon, Werner, the players that were injured at the end of last season were all back yesterday.
And all fit, all appear to be fit to start training.
Yeah, the training started today, didn't it? So all the medical assessments and stuff were taking place yesterday, but the first bits on grass were going to be today. I've not seen anything on Twitter. I've not seen any Tottenham videos about their first day on grass yet because I've not looked. So that might be interesting. Right, you got Jamie Wooten. Sorry, he's got put 2 comments in there. He said, "Mate, it's so mental. All the fans singing, drinking, partying, and we won on pens. This old man, he was crying his heart out, and he was a Tottenham fan."
Love it.
Jamie, well done, and carry on supporting England, mate. Fair play.
Supporting Tottenham and England is a lot. There's a lot in common, isn't there, for what we have to go through.
Tom, thoughts?
I think Troy Parrott is now or never for him, isn't it? I think I don't. It can't be any more loans for him. He's either got to stay with us this year and try and force his way into the team, or he's got to go somewhere else. I mean, he did have a good season. Okay, yeah, we can say what we want about the Dutch league, but he was also playing for a terrible team. So to score 20 odd goals in a terrible team, okay, maybe in a terrible league, that's, it's got to be worth something. But yeah, ultimately it's going to be, up to Ange, isn't it? And whether he's seen enough in him, but it's whether or not you because he's what, 22, 23?
22.
Yeah, 22. So he's not exactly. He's not old, but he's not young, is he? So, I mean, and I thought, to be honest, Dane Scarlett, the few cameo appearances he made for Spurs at the end of the season, okay, yeah, it was only a few minutes here and there, but he was putting himself in the right places. He was getting into the body. He probably should have, if better crosses came in, he probably could have had a goal or two. So
he scored against Sheffield Donetsk when Kane got 4 goals before he left. He turned that swivel.
Yeah, he did actually. That was a good goal, wasn't it?
I think if you have to. I think it's going to be between Scarlett and Parrott as to who goes, because I think Valise is going to get a loan, and if he does get a loan, it has to be either Championship or Premier League. It has to be in this country. Can't be going to Spain and not playing and stuff like that. It has to be in this country if he wants to adapt to our style.
Don't forget Will Lancashire as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's another player that's in the mix.
I think, to be honest, I think Lancashire will have a loan. He's looked great for the under 21s and stuff, but I think for him
23 goals in 22 games.
Yeah, I think he looks like a man. He's built massive. He's huge through he's well built for his age. But I think definitely like either League One or Championship for Will Lancashire. So there's rumours of Birmingham City, where our assistant manager's gone.
Simon Davies.
Taking a couple of players, which I think would be a great move. Like, I definitely think one thing Tottenham have probably been bad at is loan moves and loaning to teams that make sense for the way that we. I'm not saying they have to play the same football as us, but at least a team that's going to be a bit more dominant in possession rather than teams that are just sitting back defending all the time, especially with the football we play now. But if I'm honest, I can see Parrott being sold, Scarlett staying, and Valise going on loan in terms of the strikers. I think Donnelly will go on loan. It seems like he's probably going to Luton.
That'd be a good idea, actually. Donnelly on loan.
From what you're saying, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I mean, if we look at the signings that we've made, right, and everyone says that we signed Archie Gray. Archie Gray is an England under 21 international, and he's 18 years of age. Scarlett is not an England under 21 yet. He's been in the under 20s squad, and so is Ash Phillips. So all these players that we've got coming through the academy, they've not made the 21s yet. Archie Gray has. I would say, I'd go as far as saying, if it was me, I mean, and I don't know because I don't train with these players every day of the week, but Scarlett didn't do much on his loans. Scarlett hasn't done much in the academy, not as much as what Lancashire's done. And it may be that you give Lancashire the chance to come into the first team, but on the basis of what he done last year, he gets the first run for me rather than Scarlett, and maybe even Valise.
Jose, mate, I've got to interrupt you there. Every time Scarlett goes away on international duty, he scores. Yeah. He scores. He virtually scores every time. He is quality. That's my opinion. He is. I agree with Ellie. I've watched this kid. Like, he is quality. In matches, he stands out. He's one of those, when you get 2 academy teams playing and a player stands out, it's him. Admittedly, he's been on a bench recently, so even though all the under-21s have been a joy to watch this season, I've watched every game, right? So, but Scarlett...
Lancashire and Donnelly have stood out, haven't they? Well, Adrian. Yes, so, they've walked it. They've walked it in the
Santiago, I mean, there's so many. The only thing we seem to lack is in the fullback positions. Centre-backs, the goalkeepers, Gunter's brilliant. Everywhere apart from we seem to be lacking left back and right back. That seems to be our weakness because Noel John's had to play there, and it's not his position. It's like wide midfield on the right, So,
but
Adrian, of all the YouTube community I know, I think you're probably the leading expert on the academy and the players coming through. I mean, give us your assessment of who you think should be sold, loaned, and who you think now is ready to be elevated to the first team.
I wouldn't sell any of them. A few of them are coming at 18, like George Abbott. Tyrosol looks like Moussa Dembele, but he hasn't got his stature. See him on the ball, right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Dorrington is a left-sided centre-back, injured, carries the ball forward. Ashley Phillips, 6'4", 19 years of age. He's a tank. These kids, they must put them in grow bags nowadays. You know what I mean? And like so good. And you could go across Soonsup Bell, Lancashire, Santiago. I mean, they're good. All right. Today you heard that story. I think you posted it in. Like, we lose a kid to Man City. We're going to lose the odd one. It's very iffy when it comes to contracts. My understanding of the rules is when they're 16 or something, they can sign 2 years and only 1 year pro contract.
Yeah.
Not sure. Don't stick to that, right? But if it is, there always becomes that window of opportunity for foreign clubs like Dortmund, who like come fishing and nicking our young players and things like to come and snare them. So you're going to lose one or two. But now that the pay structure's been busted since Dean Rastrick went, this is all thanks to Paratici. This guy needs a lot of credit. We know he's a crook, but I mean, he deserves a lot of credit. No, he does.
Allegedly.
And now what you've got, I mean, like now you've got like we've nicked the Southampton head of recruitment, Jack Chapman, and Andy Scolding, who came in earlier. He's now head of loans and pathways. So he'll be charged of loans out to other clubs and pathways through into the first team. There's always going to be a pathway for 4, because we have to have 4 academy-trained players out of the 8 homegrown for Europe. An academy of trained players, one who's been with the academy for 3 years before their 21st birthday. So don't ask me about the Papasar one, because although he belongs to our club and spent
no one
3
knows
years
that.
in
No
France,
one knows
right, for that club that got relegated, to me, well, he's not part of the French club's academy, so to me, he should still count. But putting him to one side, I know we've got 5. You've got 2 goalkeepers, Brandon Austin, you've got Alfie Whiteman, you've got Oliver Skip, and you've got Troy Parrott at 22, which might be one reason. Skip's been told he's not going because they need him for this particular reason, Troy Parrott. But I know that Niall John, because I followed him like Elias, his career, that he was 20 since he's 10 years old. Right, so he must qualify as well. So you could sell, Tom, one of Parrott or Skip. If anyone goes, it'd be Parrott. I'd want to see him. He got 17 goals in the Eredivisie last year. He got 2 hat-tricks in the last couple of games or something. I mean, it's the same as Santiago Jimenez, who we're interested in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was one thing I was going to say. If it was a choice of spending 40 million on Jimenez or keeping Parrott, I'd keep Parrott all day long. Like they're so similar in the way they play. But Santiago from the under 21s, he's 22, 23, isn't he not? He's not young. The left winger.
I don't know his age.
I think he's 22. I think he's 20. I think he might have turned 22 now.
Yeah. So again, he's another player who's kind of a now or never really. In terms
I would have thought he would qualify as well, because he said it's the best day's work he did when he signed from Tottenham, being Spanish, right? So I would have thought, but then what you have to take in consideration, guys, in the chat, is the fact that if you're going to pick 4 to be your academy homegrown trained, they've got to be players that Ange wants as the 4. If they're not, you've created a separate issue here, haven't you? You know, if they're not. But they're a great bunch, and a lot of them aren't ready. And everybody says play him. I mean, like Mikey Moore looks like a generation. He's 17 this month, right? He scored, God knows. I mean, he had when I last looked, he had 14 assists and 17 goals in something like, I don't know,
12 games.
Santiago, while you're breathing there, is 21, born on the 15th of April 2003. So he's only just 21.
And like Divine and the Phillips might go back to Plymouth with Rooney. Matthew Craig, who was loaned out again, has come back. He'll probably go out on loan again, right? But what I'd like to see, and a genuine concern about the academy, as I watch them all the time on Spurs play, is like, if we're going to loan players out to these clubs, they must be given game time. Now you need to create an incentive scheme. If you say to that club, well, look, I don't know how they work. We know how loans work for established players at clubs, at top class clubs. You know, if you wanted to get a player from Barcelona and who was a first team player or sitting on a bench, you'd pay $5 million for the loan and half his wages or whatever. So I'm sure the academy's players, it's obviously a lot less, but I don't know how much they pay, or whether we just loan them for a nominal fee, or whether they pay their wages or whatever part of their wages. But it should be some sort of incentive scheme whereby if you play the player, play him, we'll pay his wages. Every time you play him, we'll pay his wages. It probably won't happen. It's just an idea. I mean, I haven't given it too much thought. But I mean,
funny enough, when I was going to make my own comments, that's exactly what I was going to say, Adrian. Absolutely. If you don't pay a player, you pay a fee or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to spin it and say, because
situation where you take a player like Valif on loan and he sits in the frigging crowd for hours.
And one other thing to that as well, right? You're playing a game of football. Out of your squad of 25, barring no injuries and suspensions, you've got 11 players on the field and 9 subs. You can use 5 substitutes, 6 if you've got a concussion sub, right? So that's 17 players out of 20. You can't tell me you couldn't introduce a rule at the club, right? Barring whether Wayne Burnett needed the players for the under-21s for certain reasons or injuries and suspensions, that you couldn't say, so as the senior players knew and didn't get pissed off if an academy player was sitting on the bench instead of them. Well, you couldn't say, right, so now a club rule, 2 academy players on the bench at every game. We'll rotate them, get them the feel of the atmosphere, what it's all like. It's all good for their growth, right? And do that. And I'd like to see that 4 homegrown academy trained rule increased to 6. I don't see it happen. I wish it would. I'd like to see it a bit at 6. But that's just my opinion on that. But back to who should go out and who should loan. Well, no doubt Wayne Burnett will have loads of chats with Ange over this and with Johan Lange. And the other guy we nicked off of Villa, because we nicked 3, didn't we? We nicked Lange off of Villa. We nicked Milo Jelinek and Frederick Leff. And Frederick Leff is in charge of strategy. I haven't seen anything that clarifies the actual strategy in depth, what it means. But so it just leaves us with an idea, right? So I want to see Velez given. Look, we've got 6 season games come up. The first one's in 10 days. I mean, Ian's going, So I'll let him talk about that, But I want to see these players given time. I want to see Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray, who have got no worries about him at all. Half the fan base has been in and out on him and all that, and I get a bit tired, right? Because I'm 75% glass full. Manor Solomon, I just want to mention him. What I did today, I deliberately plastered him everywhere to people I know through WhatsApp, my Spurs group, and everywhere. Because when a player's out of sight, they're automatically thrown under the bus. Get rid of him. One, he's only just come back from injury, so you're not going to sell him to January. No one's going to buy him unless they see he can run, you know what I mean, or whatever. Right? And I just wanted to show people, if you didn't watch my previous videos when he first come to the club in my other group, right, go and have a look at this kid, because he's not bad. He's not bad at all when you watch the video of him. And I think, especially if we've been linked with lots of wingers now, and I'm thinking like, well, a lot of these wingers I've watched, you got Doué looks a little bit special.
I'm going to come on to it.
Okay, right. I'll back you in. Going on.
Okay.
Right?
Just the Dutch player, the player I mentioned is Dutch. Han Willert King. He's gone to Manchester City.
Right.
But the other thing, and I don't know if anyone else has seen that, is that Mikey Moore apparently is coming up to 18. And that's the point where he can sign a professional
17.
He's 17 this month.
He's coming up to 17, Ian, yeah. And he could start his first professional contract. No. At 17, you sign your first professional contract at 17. So he's just about to turn 17.
So there's talk that Manchester City are offering him telephone numbers to go to Manchester City.
And Man United and Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah. Are we confident we can keep him?
Mikey Moore's verbally agreed a professional contract with Tottenham. It's not been signed, but he's verbally agreed.
Okay. And how long is that? Can that only be for a year?
I think he got 2 years, didn't he?
I think, I thought at 16, when you come into a club at 16, you could sign a 2-year scholarship with a year's professional contract. But that would take you, that 2 years would take you to 18, and then a year's. I think it's a safety rule, so young players aren't trapped at a young age because do they know their own mind or their parents or whatever?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the reason. I'm not against that. Look, we've gone and nicked players. I mean, you take Lancashire, right? He was at Arsenal, right? He goes to Sheffield United. He's 17 when he's at Sheffield United, and we give 2 or 3 million quid for him, right?
Yeah.
He's worth 10 million now, easy.
Yeah.
Right. So
But
we
took
do
a
it
boy
as well.
from Chelsea, didn't we, Adrian, as well?
Yeah, soon Bell.
Soonsup Bell. We took Soonsup Bell from Chelsea. Now, apparently, you hear rumours. You know, he weren't getting game time, wanted to play, and they wouldn't squeeze him in to come to Spurs. And now I think he's. I've heard he's repeating that again, but I don't know. But look, we pay him wages now. We pay him wages. When you get them in at 15 and 16 now and younger, we are prepared to pay the wages now. Because before, Dean Rastrick thought I'll give them too much money, too young, and all that. But look, you got to live in the real world. Other teams are overtaking us because we're not paying the money, but now we are. So and look at the transfer, and we're paying transfer fees for these guys as well. You know, not waiting for their contracts to end. You know?
Sure. Brad, haven't heard much from you lately. Must be my fault. So, anything to add? Because I'm then going to talk about transfer targets before we.
All I will say is that I think with the players that played for the under-21s and did so well, and there's obviously a lot of talent there. And a lot of people say, "Oh, why have we gone and bought Archie Gray? You know, when we've got all this talent in our academy." Well, Archie Gray played in the Championship the whole season, was Young Player of the Year. And I think the step up from the under-21s to the Premiership is a much bigger step to make than the step up from, say, the Championship to the Premiership. So I think that's the reason why Archie Gray is there and the under-21s. But I'd like to see him go on. I don't want to lose him. I'd like to see him going on loan. And as you say, we've got to get a loan deal where they actually get games. How you work that one out, I don't know. Because when you say, "Oh, we want more money if they don't, we pay if when you play and that sort of thing," then that puts the onus on the team that have been loaned to, and then their fans get upset. So you're only paying him because you're paying the money, this sort of thing. So there's difficulties there, but I do understand the reasoning behind it, and I think we need to make sure these loan deals do go through where they do get game time. And to be fair, I think Ashley Phillips got game time at Plymouth, and so did
plenty of it. Yeah,
so did the other guy, Divine. The other thing I will say is I hope the players that we've got on our books, no matter how good you think they are, I'm talking about your Lo Celsos, your Brian Hills, these players. Please sell them now. Please sell them. They obviously, no matter how talented you think they might be, many managers don't play them. Lo Celso was fit for a bit of the season, and Andrew didn't play him very much. He hasn't played Gill hardly at all, so he's obviously not going to play him. And just get him off our books, sell them. Just take the money for it. And this is the problem we have with we want more money than they're actually worth. So it's happening with with Emerson Royale at the moment. Just take the money, just set the money, get them off our books, and then bring players in to replace them.
Brad, the word I'm hearing this week is that Real Madrid, AC Milan are really going to be pushing hard this week, and the deal will be done this week for just under £20 million for Emerson Royale. So that will happen this week. That's what I'm reading.
Yeah, well, I hope so, because we need, we've had these players on loan to they come back, we loan them out again. They come back, we loan them out again. I mean, I'm pleased that the club have bit the bullet with Ndombele. Said, right, that's it, you're out of here now, so it proves that they can do it. But
sorry, Brad, but from what you're saying, I agree with you, but I think there's a bit of, obviously there's a bit going on that we don't know about as fans with teams. So I think that the agents, the teams that are involved, the players that are involved, they know who's after them and who fancies them and that. And I've got a feeling that with Emerson, Tottenham feel that there's value for him to sell him at a certain price, and that if AC Milan don't stump up, somebody else will. So that's what I think, right? And the same with Jed Spence, because Genoa will only offer €6 million for Jed Spence. And the agreement was nearer €12 million. They've reneged on that, said they're only going to offer 6. Tottenham have now said, but supposedly, right, we'll now offer Spence to other clubs. You've had free reign and free run at him. You decided not to meet the needs that we require to sell him to you. We're now going to open this up. And I've got a feeling that Tottenham have got some sort of an idea of who fancies the players that we're trying to get out and what kind of money we're going to look for them. I think there will be suitors for Hill. I think there will be suitors for Lo Celso. I think there will be suitors for Emerson. There will be for Emerson. There will be for Jed Spence. There will be for Højbjerg. I even believe that there will be suitors for Richarlison. That's as far I'm going to say that Richarlison, there will be suitors for Richarlison as well. Now, whether it's the right money to get him out of the club or not is another matter. But I think that you're quite right, Brad. We will get rid of players. But for once, someone like Endon Bailey, you're quite right. We needed to get him off the books. But with some players, instead of just giving them away, if there's some value to be had and you're going to get, I don't know, for someone like Jed Spence, he's worth more than €6 million. You know, at the end of the day, he is, regardless of what his track record is, he's worth more than €6 million.
Oh yeah.
€6 million is what you pay on an up and coming person who hasn't played football and stuff like that. You give €6 million for euros, not to someone who has played England under 21, has played well at his loan sides.
I on the Richarlison thing, which is a bit interesting because the rumours have been going around a long time, even during last season. But he came back training 2 weeks earlier, gave up his holidays, right, to train at the training ground. There'll be suitors for him, but he said in one quote, you know, he didn't mention Spurs, but he said when he was asked because of all the rumours,
he'll stay in England.
I'm staying in England, right? So I don't think anyone would come in for England anyway, and I don't think he wants to go, and I don't think he's at the stage in his career that he'd go to Saudi Arabia even for 60 million of the money. I mean, some players do have pride, you know, in their careers, you know, and like I just think he's one of them. But apart from that, I agree with everything you said. I mean, like, but the Richarlison thing, and besides, we need it, and I hope, like I suppose all Spurs fans hope, that if he's put his psychological problems and his injury problems behind him, that we see an even better Richarlison this season. But that's hope.
I'll turn it around to all you guys on the panel and you guys in the chat as well. I'll turn it around and say, have Tottenham changed? Have we changed as a club? Are we changing? Have we changed? In the sense that if Tottenham or the management team or that don't see Richarlison as our number 9 spearhead for the next 3 to 4 years, right? What's the point keeping him if a decent offer comes in for him? Have we changed? Have we changed as a club?
Hang on. There's a difficulty with that. One, he's under contract. Secondly, as I say, we haven't heard of anyone making an offer for him. Thirdly, what happens if he says no? I don't want to go.
Yeah. I think that's 100%. It takes three parties to make a transfer work, right? You're selling club, you're buying club, and then your player. I mean, add agents and God knows what else into it. You're looking at even more. But I think I think we can improve on Richarlison. Of course we can in terms of the striker. But if you look at the striker market at the moment, realistically, unless you're going for an Ivan Toney or spending 120 million on a Osimhen from Napoli, who is there that you would say is levels above Richarlison? And I think this
changed though.
I think this is why we've seen us linked to so many wingers, because there's a lot of really, really good wingers that will take us up. And Richarlison, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he's great at anything. I think he's good at a lot of things, but I don't think he's great at anything. I think he's, you know, my dad will tell you I'm not his biggest fan in any way, shape or form. But he did show that, you know, if you're putting balls into the box, he's going to be there and he will put the ball in the back of the net. Like, and we were guilty of last season not putting the ball in the box from the wide areas. And the few times that Johnson played on the right wing and he did that, Richarlison got goals. But we weren't having that happen on the other side of the pitch as well. We didn't have a left winger who was doing that typical Ange play of getting to the byline and squaring the ball back. Like, that just wasn't happening. I mean, saying there, please get Toney in. Toney as a player, 100%. Toney as a personality and everything, all the baggage that comes with him, I'm not sold on. But he's a striker. He's a confident / arrogant guy, and to be the best striker, you kind of, you know, history tells you that you need that. But
the right mentality for Tottenham.
I don't know. I think he's got the mentality to want to be the best. 100% with Toney, 100%. But how many years do you give it until he's saying what he's been saying about Brentford, about Spurs, and he's wanting Barcelona or Madrid or City or wherever it is? I mean, I know he's old. He's 27. Well, not old. He's 27, 28. So he's probably only got one big move left in him, Toney, to be honest with you.
And that's the Tottenham.
I mean,
I'd take Tony in a heartbeat. I would.
Yeah.
I just think it's down to Ange, and I'm not convinced Ange will like his personality.
Exactly
And we've seen that Ange will pick players more based on their personality and what they say and how they are than the stats and everything that come along with them.
It's a fine line, isn't it? Because I think you're right, Tony. I think he's a terrific player, and I'd like to see him at Tottenham. And this attitude thing, I love the team spirit that we appear to have at Tottenham. But the other argument to that is that sometimes you need, a bastard in there to win things.
Yeah.
And it's just finding that balance. Now, luckily for me, I don't have to make that decision. It's down to Ange and the crew sort of thing. But as a football player, I'd definitely take him. He's proven in the Premiership. He's done well when he's come on for England, and he's got that arrogance that you need, to win things. So, I mean, and as far as Richarlison's concerned, I've got no problems with him keeping him at the club if we get that other striker, because we need two players for each position, and I'm quite happy to have Richarlison as one of those two sort of centre forward, if you want to call it in the old terms, positions. But that also depends on who we get in. So if you've got Richarlison and Tony, fine. I'm okay with that.
Brad, I hope the club do their due diligence on any player they bring in. We don't want to end up with another Ndombele.
Oh, yeah.
So Tony could be brilliant, but if he's going to come and upset the whole squad, you don't want him, do you? I mean, that's logical. Thing. It's just an obvious thing to say. We don't know. All we've done is heard rumours. He might be on the back burner. I mean, the only reason I think we went for Archie Gray so soon is because we were pushed to go. I don't think it was top on the order of our list, because I think a striker and midfielder were. But once Brentford made their move, Spurs were forced to make a move as well. So, and they did, and they probably said to Leeds, "Hold on," and they probably mentioned Rodon as well at the same time. And then Brentford struggled with the payments or whatever, how they wanted to pay for him, and we nipped in and got the deal done. And I'm glad we did. And the only thing now, you wait for the transfer window. What will determine where Archie Gray is actually going to play is if we do bring a right back in. Then he's playing midfield, right? The transfer window, we're all playing Football Manager, and every new player get in increases the permutations we have in our heads of the team we would like to see or whatever, So just adding to that, back to you. Sorry.
Jose was saying earlier, like, do you really think we've changed as a football club? And I would say, actually, you only have to look for the last few transfer windows to say that we have. Due diligence. That is a massive word. We did not do that with Ndombele, and look what happened. Yeah, Mickey van der Ven. He was the cheap option over Tapsoba, but I think we can all agree that we've massively done the right thing with getting him in. Vicario. He was the cheap option over Raya. We always throw these cheap and I don't like Levy very much and stuff, but I this doesn't feel like Levy's particularly. He's always going to be involved, of course he is, but it really does feel like Johan Langer and maybe Paratici in the background somewhere, is pulling the strings a little bit, and it does feel different. It really does feel different, and. We were saying about another, Tony coming in to back up Richarlison and stuff like that. We're just linked with so many wingers that it makes me feel we're forgetting about Heung-min Son in all of this. Where's he playing? Like, he's staying. He's not going to go anywhere. Where's he playing? Is he going to be a winger? Is he going to be a striker? I mean, on the evidence of last season, I think he put in his better performances playing on the wing, but. I think if he had better service from coming in from both wings, I think he could play that, fox in the box, especially as he's getting older, and you can tell he's not as fast and as sharp as he once was, but he can still find the goal.
It's half and half, Tom, isn't it? I mean, it works for him half the time. Let's be fair, against the low block, no. With his back to a goal, no. He plays out on the wing. Werner's back up to him. We bring a striker in. If Eze comes in, Eze's left-sided as well. So good, he pushes Werner further away as far as I'm concerned. Right, and we go down that line. And you're right about.
And what about Solomon?
Yeah, well, Solomon can play on the left and right. I sent you the video as well. Probably you've seen it. And he scores goals. And this is I've been going on about this, but just on the transfers first. I mean, since 2019. we spent 685 million on 29 players. That's an average of 137 million a year. So I'm expecting the same this year without sales. So the money's there because you've only got to put a down payment. The only thing that can thwart us, stymie us in this window, is the fact that if Crystal Palace say it's a release clause for Eze and they want 60 million up front, that ain't happening. That's not happening. We're not doing that. We might give them half of it. And then we've got more than enough money to put down payments on players. And mark my words, I know we've got Archie Gray, we will get another 4 players in. And the reason I say that is because if Gill goes, Emerson, Højbjerg goes and Lo Celso goes, you've got to replace them on the bench. You've got to replace them on the bench. So I'm confident we'll get 4 in, like me and him in a chat a little later. I think we'll get 2 in within the next 2 weeks.
I agree.
I mean, it's looking like Doué's coming in. Like apparently, Ange wants Doué in within the next week so he can play in that.
That's 6 wingers then. That's 6 wingers at the club. You have Decky, Doué, right?
What interesting on Decky? Do you
Solomon,
think Decky? Do you think Decky turns into a number 9? Like he played there the last few games of the season, and he actually does really well.
Can I come in? Because I want to try and lead you into an area here, because I know this is something you as well, Adrian, have a view of. I'm reading as well. I've had my scouts at Tottenham have been suggesting and pushing for Desiree Doué for months. That's come directly. His situation, one to watch. That's from Fabrizio Romano. So, it's not as if he knows anything about transfers. So if he's saying that's one to watch, that might be something happening this week. But Adrian, I know you can talk. I'm going to bring you in on this because you're a one on the stats on this and the goals you're going to need this season. In the French First Division, 31 games, 4 goals, 4 assists. That's a goal involvement every 4 games. Nico Williams, I don't think we'll be getting him, but 103 games, 11 goals, 14 assists, 1 in 4. You looked at, Mudryk at Shakhtar Donetsk. Someone's done their due diligence. 44 games, 12 goals, 17 assists. So that's much more than a goal involvement every second game. But then at Chelsea, 58 games, 7 goals, 4 assists, nearly 1 in 6.
And Solomon kept Mudryk out of that side.
Say that again?
Solomon kept Mudryk out of that Shakhtar Donetsk side for a time.
Well, but what I'm saying is, you look at the figures. I mean, you'd say Mudryk would have been a great signing for Chelsea. When he comes in with a due diligence, 44 games, 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 goal involvements in 44 games. Right. Fabulous statistics.
Right.
Can I ask?
You're not keen on. I want to pronounce it Desiree Doué.
Doué, yeah.
Like a porn star name. Desiree Doué.
Adrian, can you give us the stats? Can you give us the stats on Werner and Johnson last season? I want to know whether 1 in 4 men or whatever they
Johnson,
are.
I recall 5 goals, 7 assists.
In how many games?
Which for a kid, I don't know. He wouldn't have played as many games. He would have been drip-fitted into that side if it wasn't for injuries and suspensions.
No, I just wanted to know because of what the stats.
5 and 7.
Ian
I think Werner. I don't know how many Werner got. I don't think he got 5. I think he got about 4. I'm not check the Werner goals.
Werner didn't score many, but he also got like 2 or 3 assists chalked off because they ended up as own goals. Right, so they don't count as assists.
They don't count as assists if like the striker misses the chance when it's a great ball to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As well. So it can be deceptive.
Stats for,
right.
Only for last season.
Yeah, for last season, 23-24, 13 matches, 2 goals, 3 assists.
So 5. So that's 1 in 2 and a bit.
1 in, yeah.
1 in 2 and a bit.
They're not bad stats.
So that's better than 1 in 4 at the moment. And what about Johnson?
I'm just going to look it up.
And as Tom said, they've chalked 3 assists off, as Tom says. So if you had done 3 assists, if they were added on, then his stats don't look too bad, do they?
Brennan Johnson, 32 matches, because of course a lot of Werner's before were off the bench as well, as were a few of Johnson's. Johnson's stats are actually really good. 32 matches, 5 goals, 10 assists.
So 1 every 2.
1 every 2.
So when you're looking at these stats from the 1 every 4 men, we've actually got 2 players who are much maligned by the fan base, and we've got 1 every 2.
All our players are maligned by a fan base, Jose.
I know.
All of them, yeah.
So that's why I was interested, because it's interesting that people, because they're not appeasing and they haven't got the Ananelli, so Johnsonelli or Vernonelli, because they haven't got these names, people don't like them. Do you know what I mean? But their stats ain't actually that bad.
My argument is, you see, there's been a lot of talk about Johnson and comparisons with Werner, right? To me, Werner's reached his ceiling. He's not going to get any better. He's a good footballer. He just don't score goals, right? Whereas Johnson's got a potential to have a much higher ceiling. I didn't want Johnson when he came in. What I see, I thought, nah, not for me. Whereas Archie Gray, yes. Some players you look at for yourself, you think, yes. Lucas Bergvall, yes. Johnson, no. Werner, no. And since 1992, guys, and for those of you in the chat, it's taken on average 82 goals to win the Premier League title, right? Now, Man City have won 7 out of the last 10. A couple of those seasons, one season they scored 106, no one's scored 100. And look at last season. Arsenal got 90 goals and finished second. Now, when fans go to me, I get exasperated. Oh, let's get Pedro Neto, right? Injury prone, 2 goals in 20 games. No, thank you. I'm serious. No, thank you. Right? I don't care how good he looks. I don't care if we got Messi on one wing, Ronaldo on the other. If you're forwards score goals. You can't score goals for us. You're no good. We'll never win a league. We might nick a cup, right? We'll never win a league without goal scorers in the team. Now, if Son could get you 25, and if you've got 4 wingers sharing the responsibility, you've got 5 goals each. So you've got 10 each, which a 1 in 4 strike rate was always considered good. That's 45 goals, right? Where's the other 45 goals coming from, guys? Where are they coming from? So we need midfielders that can chip in, right? You need a Lampard in there, someone in there as well.
You know what?
Madison was a good season. Could say he has a great season. He might get 15. That's 60. You still need 30 goals, and that's to finish second. So when we look at these players, I don't mind a young player because they may kick on like Kane did, start off slow, and Sherwood give him his first chance. Yeah. You know what I mean, and Lever was moaning, "Why aren't you playing Soldado?" and all that crap. And then Kane gradually used to start the season slow, not score in August or September, and then start hitting straps and giving you 20 plus a season or 30 with the cups. But if we're going to bring players in and pay money for them, they've got to be goal scorers, especially on the wings.
Can I give you a name?
Yeah, go on.
And then you can all argue amongst yourselves. For, I've already overrun that, but it's been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been fantastic show, guys.
Ebrechi Eze, Crystal Palace, Premier League last season, 27 matches, 11 goals, 4 assists. Now you're cooking with gas. That's 11 goals.
I'd love him.
He's the magic ingredient player that I think
he's
we
need. He's the marquee signing.
Yeah,
because there aren't any other marquee signings out there. They're unknowns. He's and he's proven Premiership.
Exactly.
I'd take him tomorrow as a marquee signing.
And apparently,
is there anyone here? Don't know how many in the chat, but anyone on stage with me who wouldn't take Eze in a heartbeat?
Do you know what's interesting with Eze, right? When you say Eze, you just think he's a Tottenham player, like the way he plays. It carries the ball. You just think he is a Tottenham player. However, is he an Ange player?
I think he's the left-sided front number 8 alongside Maddison. If Maddison gets his form back,
I
think from what I've read, he Ange likes him, but that's only from I'm reading the same thing you guys are. So.
And the reason why I think he probably isn't on the first outlook. He's not your pacey wide man who's getting to the byline, cutting it back like Ange wants. Like that's why he wanted Johnson and players like that. But he looks after the ball. The ball goes to him and it sticks. And one of the biggest problems with Spurs last year was we was winning the ball, we were getting it forward, and then we were losing it, and it was coming straight back. Whereas with him, the ball is going to he's going to stick with him, and it will stay with him, and that stops all these transitions. Like Spurs conceded most of their goals from quick transitions. Like we'd win the ball back, we'll bomb up, we would pass it around, and then we'd lose it, and we were on the count being countered. Luckily, Mickey van der Ven's pace saved us numerous times, But we can't rely on that because otherwise his hamstrings are going to keep going. So having players that can look after the ball is a massive thing. the beauty of Eze is that he can play on the left wing, but he could also play in Madison's role if Madison's not ticking as well. And I think that is, you know, that is a good play. He does scream Tottenham. My one worry is that Palace are going to want 50 million up front for this 60 million clause, and I'm just not convinced that they'll.
I could even see him as a number 8, Tom, because he's got that little shuffle where he can glide past the player like Ndombele, like Musa Dembele did for us. He's got that. I see in the England game, he had a short cameo for England. He did it when he went. I mean, there was no one to give the ball to once he beat the player, but he's got that little turn of pace and the way that he's got that skill to just nip past the player. But once you pass the player, the pitch can open up and you can have loads of options. If you're a Cam, you've got options left, right, and centre. You know, so like. Yeah, I love him. I'd love to have him.
I think the only way that Palace will sell him is with the release clause. So I watched the show the other night. I think I had one of the guys from Sky Sports on, and he said that with the release clause, if you pay it, then basically the club's got nothing to do with it. You basically talk, it's up to the player then. And he made the point was maybe Tottenham being Tottenham might say, well, okay, we'll pay you a little bit more if you let us change the terms of the payment. That's what it comes down to. Whenever a transfer goes through, you pay them in instalments. The release clause means you pay it up front. So if they go in and they say, well, a little bit more, you know, then then if you allow us to pay over a certain amount of time. So,
one good thing is he's with the CAA-based agency, Porro and Andrew with that agency. And there's another couple of players as well. And they've been to the club, they've had guests, they've tried to seduce him a little bit, his family and whatever, like, you know.
I think the deal was on. It just depends on whether we fork out the money as usual for Tottenham.
I don't think anything's happening until he's back from the Euro.
And I also don't think other clubs, our rivals in the Premiership, who might like him, and they've probably got issues in other positions on the pitch, and they're not going to come in for him. I think we'll have a free run at him. Actually, I do.
My opinion is he could play that 8. Is, do you see a world in which Pat Matasar turns into a 6?
Yeah,
because with Ange, he wants his 6 to be a guy that can win the ball and then drive forward with it. We've seen that he's got a pass on him. I wonder as he matures and you know gets at the emotional and the intelligent side of the game. I could see him being that 6.
Sarr can play as a 6 or an 8. You watched the game away at Villa when he burst down the wing and crossed the ball for Madison to score the first goal in the net. Like,
I mean, I agree with you, Tom, totally. I think that Sarr could play that role. Bentancur could play that role. And I think ultimately that number 6 driving forward will be Archie Gray. I think he's absolutely tailor-made for that job.
Yeah.
But then we've got options, which must be a good sign that we've got options to play in these. I know Andrew will always say, "Oh, there's no such thing as an 8 and a 10 and a 6 and a 4 or whatever." You know, he doesn't. That's not how he seems to operate.
No.
But, going back to Adrian's point about scoring goals, I think it was the 2017 season. You had, and not over the league season, but over the whole season, you had Dele Alli, Eriksson, Kane, and Son, and they all scored 20 goals or more that season.
Yeah, the desk.
Yeah, so that's So what Adrian was saying about getting your goals, you know, that to me is
also
goal scoring.
Also on goals, you know, Arsenal scored 90 goals last season. How many of them were set pieces? Lots. What do Arsenal have that Spurs don't currently have? A set piece coach. Now, if you again like stats and things like that, okay, you can argue them and whatever, but it is shown that the top 8 clubs in the Premier League for scoring set pieces last year all have a set piece coach. All the teams down the bottom for scoring set pieces, Tottenham was second from bottom, don't have a set piece coach. The year that we had the set piece coach, Gio, I can't remember his name now. We were scoring lots of set pieces, and you kind of feel like having someone like that. Surely, like it seems silly to not have one if everyone else has got one. Do you know what I mean? It feels like you're missing a trick.
If what are your existing coaches doing at the club, then the set pieces that they can't do that set piece coaches go. But on that, I mean, Ian might know a bit about this. I mean, we know that we got Matty Wells is now head coach. Ryan Mason's still there. You've got Millie Jelinek up there doing the analysis on his laptop with where all the press sit and all that, right? like I've mentioned a couple of other coaches, but we just brought in, Ian might know him, Nick Montgomery. He was the Scottish under-21 coach. He was manager at Hibs. Obviously, Hibs. He did win the title out in Australia. I forget the name of the team, some coast team they were called or whatever. So he's very highly rated. He's very, very much a video man with players. Gets them down to watch videos, and a tactics man. And he's been with his sidekick Sergio Raimondo, right, who he's brought with him as well. Mm-hmm. So the structure of the club, not just the last few transfer windows, but the structure of the club to me has changed in a really positive manner. And if this guy is as good, I mean, like defensively, I think more than attack minded. I mean, like you guys, back in the day, guys, especially us older guys here, right? I mean, what happened to who's got the hardest shot on his team? What happened to the tap to the side and the blast at goal to someone who's got a strong shot on him? What happened to the chip over the wall? What happened to the ball down the side of the wall, right? There seems to be some magnetic attraction that when you get a free kick, you've got to bend it around the wall and the goal for Sky, right? 1 in 16 free kicks where there's a wall like that results in a goal. There's got to be a way of lowering them odds. You know, it exasperates me when I see it. I see it on corners, right? We faff about doing our short corners and they come to nothing. We've seen it. They mess about. They need. I mean, what happened to the flick on at the near post, Gilzine or Sherwood? You know what I mean? Hey, you'll remember them, Ian, right? What happened to that? You can't defend it if you get it right. I mean, Ericsson never seemed to be able to beat the first man at the post when he was there. What happened to the pass from the corner to the corner of the penalty area when someone chipped it in like Sherwood did it to Sheringham and whatever, they scored when they beat Chelsea 5-1 the League Cup and things like that, right? Where's the variation? This is I've complained for ages, like that football's become so robotic. Players have forgot how to think for themselves on the pitch, right? And when players used to do instinctively, like take a free kick instantly, you know, and things like that. And I could go on to throw-ins and all. When you've got, you know, you've got 9 outfield players to the other teams. Who's got the longest throw on the Spurs side? You know, you all remember Rory Delap launching balls into the box for Stoke City and things like that. What are these players doing all their time? You'd think they'd have them in training set pieces and defended. And good point you make, Tom, because we conceded 14 set pieces last year and we didn't concede 1 up to Christmas. So that needs sorting as well, you know. Anyway, end the rank, guys. Sorry.
I think set pieces, our main problem was defending them last season. We conceded, and our set piece coach that we had didn't coach defending. He was all attacking.
I mean, the funny thing with that is, have you seen in the Euros that if a player's standing on the goalkeeper instantly before a corner's even taken, the ref has been telling them to get away and stuff like that. Yeah, last year they'll be able to basically
another change in the rules because Tottenham
GBH against Vicario and nothing was given. It was but. It's I just think it's silly to not. But as Am said, you know, if he felt it was going to be a needle mover, then they'll be doing it. I think there's a lot more wrong with our game than just purely worrying about them. But pieces can account for 20 goals a season. I mean, they did for Arsenal, probably even more than that. And you know, that's you know, a Harry Kane basically.
Yeah. Tom, I think he was more concentrating and trying to drill his philosophy into the players and worry about set pieces at this particular time. And the other thing is, like, when he looks, he tends to bring a younger player in. You know the old saying, get them in young and train them up rather than try and teach an old dog new tricks. So the likes of a player like Tony, who's 28, 29, maybe coming on 30, you might think, nah, even if there's a slight issue with him, I've got that to sort with, and then I've got to try and teach him new tricks as well. I'm not having it, right? So we don't know, though. We don't know what's going on there, do we? You bet the team are working hard behind the scenes, though.
I mean, it looks like we're going to get this guy Doué, and much as I've seen some of the snippets of him, his end product doesn't impress me much.
No, me neither.
Brad?
From what I've read about him, I'm not that sort of inspired. He seems to me, from what I've read about him, to be as much as any other winger we've looked at. You know, it's I just want I know it sounds really cliched. I want a couple of marquee signing players. I think that's what we need. I think we're building the squad. I like the signings we've made, last season signings. I like most of that. but we need that little magic ingredient now. And I think, as I said, Izzy would be that, and a striker.
Thanks, Lou.
But,
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Desiree Doué, he's a dribbly winger that loves taking players on one-on-one. So he might not be the guy that gets the assist, but he could be the guy that drags a player out to get it. He's also only 18, 19 as well.
Yeah.
So end product that will come. From what I've seen, unlike Werner, he can kick a ball. So that's that's helpful. He seems to have a fairly decent strike on him.
Yeah,
and he can use his left and he can use his right. Again, Doku for City, his numbers aren't amazing, but he creates havoc, and that is, that can be worth it, especially if you're 1-0 down or it's 1-1 and you're looking for that special thing to happen in the last few minutes. He could be that. I'm not saying he will be that. But we seem to be preferencing getting young players in that Ange can mold and coach, and he fits that bill, and he doesn't seem scared to take on a man, which all of our wingers that we have at the moment do seem to be scared to do. So
I think I speak on behalf of myself and 80% of this panel that I haven't got time to wait for these players to have potential anymore. It's like
no. I 100% agree, but we're not going to spend, like, the thing is, you either spend 30-40 million on a Doué, or you spend 60 million and 250 grand a week on a Nico Williams, and are his numbers much better than what we've said? They're not. Like that's a problem. And then who are you looking at after that? Mbappe?
Johnson wasn't oven ready when he came in, and that was my big argument. He's not oven ready for the amount of money. He's not oven ready. Now I want him to do well. I want everyone we get in, I want him to do well. I'm a Spurs fan, and I'll support them. Even managers I've hated in the past, I've supported them until they've gone. I'll always do that. But like Doué, he is fantastic. I mean, I've watched the video. He is fantastic on the ball, and as he's young, he may go on and do a Kane and score lots of goals. So I'm not saying don't get him, because I've watched the videos, and what I usually watch for, because people say they always look good in videos. For forwards, I'm always looking for players with visually move the ball quickly, can make things happen. And by that, especially with a striker, make things happen, not just a penalty box merchant. Son would cut in from the right and left and score curlers from outside the box. He's done it at Leicester. He's done that amazing run against Brighton with the afterburners. He did David Lewis the run around at Wembley, and that time he was on the right when he broke from the halfway line down to the wing, cut across and scored. Strikers that can make things happen. That's what I look for. With defenders, it's more, intelligent awareness, positional play, and the obvious stats of being at head and kick a ball. You know what I mean? Pass it. But like, Doué, he looks. No wonder half of Europe's look at he does for his age. He looks phenomenal. Right? And he's fast. If we got him, would I cry? No, I wouldn't. But I don't want Neto 2 goals in 20 games and half injured all the season. No, I don't want him. I'd rather take a chance on Doué and paid 30 million quid for a 19-year-old, because that's what it's going to cost. Mind you, we've just paid a lump for Archie Gray, who I've got no qualms about. So you could stick him in tomorrow, because people say to me, will he make the first team? Well, consider this, right? We've got one striker, proper striker, in Son. You've got Decky, who's multi, right? That's 2. We've got 4 midfielders we know that have been our regulars last season: Saar, Bentancur, Maddison, and Basuma at 4, right? That's 6 players. We've got a back 5, right, which is 11. If back 5 if you include Dragerson, and 12 with Vicario. So where's the other 13 players? So you can bring in Bergvall, you can bring in Archie Gray, and if we get rid of 4, we need to bring another 4 players in minimum.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I always said run a show for 2 hours. That's what I promised, and we're nearly 2.5. So
I'm having tea.
I mean, I'm just picking up your Jose, your mate's toxic headshot. We need more wingers. I mean, my problem is I think we got too many wingers at the moment. I think we need creative midfield players, sort of number 8s, and we desperately need at least one more centre forward. I don't know.
I don't think Kulusevski plays on the wing next year.
No.
Well, I would let Kulusevski go if I'm honest and replace him, but that's he's a bit Marmite, but I think he's just too one-dimensional. Tom, that's my worry about Kulusevski.
But hopefully he's been training on his other foot all season or pre-season.
I think he's one-dimensional if he's playing on the right wing. I think,
well,
put him in the middle, he's a bit different, but yeah,
maybe true.
We'll see.
All right, 2 hours 26 minutes. Final thoughts. I'll go round, Brad.
Final thoughts. I'm still optimistic. I think that the point's been made that we seem to be going in the right direction. I still think we need a couple of top quality marquee signings, for want of a better word. But I'm confident that Ange is famous for his second season. I think what Adrian said earlier about the first season is basically drilling in his philosophy. We've got to give it a go. We've got to give it to happen by the end of next season. And I think that if we get into, I think we should. I hope that we, and obviously a big squad helps with this, or a decent squad. I hope we go for the cups. I hope we actually make an effort in the cups, whether it be the League Cup, the FA Cup, or the Europa League, because I think we've got the team there that given a bit of luck, can win stuff. Not ready for the league title at this stage, but I certainly think that we can win in one of the cups. And again, that depends on who you get in the draw, that sort of thing. So, that's my thoughts.
Brad, Jose?
I'm still yet to wait to see what happens in the rest of the transfer window. I did say this last season that I'm going to wait till the 2nd of September, unless I know beforehand. I know what direction that we're going in with, who we've got going out, who we've got coming in, and that will tell me where and what we're going to do for next season. At the end of the day, we've bought some good footballers who can play football, but whether they can play in the Premiership or not, it remains to be seen. Some of the players that we're linked with are not Premiership players. So it remains to be seen what happens. I have full faith in Ange, got full faith in the coaching team, and it's just about getting behind the team. I just hope the people above get behind the team as well.
Everything I'm reading tonight suggests there will be movement this week. So
okay, I was going to say, I did a stream earlier on today. Ian.
Right.
I did one this morning, and I turned around and I said that I'm hoping that by next weekend, because obviously there's finals next weekend. By next weekend, I was hoping that Tottenham could bring in 2 and get rid of 2 by next weekend. I was hoping that would happen. That would certainly kickstart the transfer window for us. Some of the players that we're looking at that we've been linked with that are still at these tournaments, they ain't going to happen for another two weeks minimum or so. So for other players that are not in the tournament, I'd like to see two ins by the end of next weekend and 2 outgoings as well. And I've got my idea of the outgoings. I think Emerson and I think Jed Spence. I think both of them will go by next weekend.
That would be good. I mean, certainly one of the things, the Spurs ITK hub, which doesn't have any knowledge of itself. It's one of those ones that just reports other stuff that and then hears it. But it's quoting a source that said, that there's going to be movement this week, and I think Douay is certainly one of them. That the guy that's reporting that is someone that reported the Archie Gray transfer like an hour before David Ornstein. So here's hoping, because I think we all get excited with new signings. Tom, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just echo what other guys have said. Really, I have a lot more faith in our background staff with Langer and everything that they'll make the right decisions. That they've got the data side of things, but they seem to be doing the due diligence as well. So. Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I'm actually excited for next season. I can't say that for some of the previous seasons, but I'm actually excited, and I think we definitely will go for it in some of the cups. I mean, I think Ange knows he made a mistake in the League Cup last year against Fulham, but he needed to see those players, and let's face it, after that game, half of those players that played in that game didn't see another minute on the pitch. So he clearly learned from that, so that they weren't good enough. I definitely think we'll make a go of some of the cups, and actually with the new Europa League format, the league table format that it's got now, it definitely makes that tournament a lot more interesting. I think that's the word. But 8 guaranteed games for some of these younger players and whoever. I'm excited. I think there'll be a lot of good stuff next season, which will be great. And on the top, the other topic, it's coming home.
Good stuff. It's coming home.
Don't say that.
Adrian, quickly, we're over.
Have you done Brad? Have you done Brad?
Yeah.
Oh, he's done it. Okay.
Brad, didn't I? Brad, did I do
Did I ask you to finish up?
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah,
I missed it.
Brad.
Right,
and then
okay.
did Jose, and then did
Okay, all right. I do apologise, guys. I
And
do
then Tom.
apologise.
You fallen
Yeah,
asleep,
okay.
Adrian?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I'm glad to have you guys on and contribute well-informed, vital contributions. So So no, I'm excited. Would I say the transfer's been exciting? No, it's not. It's not been underwhelming. I'm excited by Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, but it hasn't been an exciting transfer window as of yet. But it will be, because I'm confident we will get 4 signings in, and then trying to predict a lineup like I do in our other group, in our other Spurs group, is going to be a nightmare. When I do pre-match and post-match write-ups, they're going to be amusing, right? So, and I thoroughly enjoy doing them as well. So, no, I am excited. I think going to get the silver polish out, guys. I can smell it.
Right. I mean, if we go for Doué, he's only 19, but his stats do need to improve. If my dream transfer window, apart from maybe Doué, then would be to have Eze and Tony. That to me would be manna from heaven.
Yep.
But right. Brad, where can people find you if they want to hear more of your wonderful views on the game?
Well, if you want to hear my views on the game, I'm on Twitter at Brad Hotspur. I don't tweet a lot, to be honest. I appear on the occasional panel show like tonight, the Irish Hotspur fan show. I'm normally on that. I've actually been on Harry Scarf's show recently. I think I'm on it tomorrow night as well. Other than that, I have a music channel called Blue Sofa Songs. That's 3 words, Blue Sofa Songs. Here it is, the Blue Sofa, which basically me writing songs about various things. I play all the instruments, sing all, write all the lyrics, write all the music, record it, do videos for it. The whole thing's basically. I'm not saying I'm a brilliant musician. I'm not saying I'm a brilliant singer, but it's busy, and I think there's some stuff out there for everyone. I'm quite proud of some of the songs I put out there, so please check it out. Do the old subscribe, like, all that sort of stuff. There might be a bit of politics on there, which you may or may not agree with. It's a free country, and that's fine.
Thankfully, I've made this a politics-free.
Yeah, but I'm working on a song at the moment called "My England," so that might give you a little indication of my next song, what it's going to be about. But I try and do a song every month, but I found that's maybe rushed things a lot. So now, because if anyone writes songs here, you can't. It doesn't happen. Just you can't sit down and right. I'm going to write a great song now. It doesn't happen that way. You have to wait for the muse to come down, and then you do it. So I've sort of taken that one song a month out now. So when the song's there, it will go onto YouTube. But hopefully, this one will be up in the next couple of weeks.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brad. And thanks for your contribution tonight.
Thank you.
Jose, yourself, where do we find you? I think you've been streaming this to your own channel as well. So
to help with your numbers, I thought I'd stream it to mine as well. And I've seen quite a few people come, and I think it's worked out quite well for you guys tonight, with your numbers. So,
being a new show
if you go further up, I've put it in the chat. I did it on my one.
It's about 6 up. YouTube.
It's about 6 up.
2326. Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant to comment on Audio Artisan's comment. Kula would be kept to babysitting Bergvall if nothing else. That's a really good point. Really. But
I can be found at El Tel Cockerel. I did a show this morning. With everything that's going on at the moment, I'm possibly doing 2 to 3 a week. Obviously, when the season kicks in, it will ramp up because I do all the predictions leagues and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm there. I also make appearances on other people's shows as well when I'm asked. It's all about our great club that we love. So
Again,
well, we're going to punish you and
thank
ask
you-
you to
thank-
come back in the future anyway. Like,
thank you for having me
we'll
on
get you
tonight,
back.
guys.
We'll get you all back.
Well, thank you for having
Yeah.
me on, and it's nice to be on with Brad and Tom as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks,
Thanks.
Jose. Tom, yourself, where do people find you if they want to hear more of your views? And hopefully you'll get some invites to shows as a result of your
Hopefully,
your
be able
words
to
tonight.
pay the electricity bill as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
no,
you
I haven't
need
turned the
more
light on.
lights.
Yeah, no. So you can find me on Twitter and most social medias as Zookeeper Tom. So a little insight to my other career. But yeah, this is my debut on YouTube for talking football. So
You've done very well.
thank you.
You've done very
Thank
well.
you very much for
Yeah,
inviting me
done well,
on.
been brilliant, Tom. Thank you. Thanks
Yeah,
so
no.
much. And Adrian, do you need to really say much else?
No, I talk too much anyway. Like, I'm too passionate Spurs,
Never
man. I
said
could
that.
talk
Can I
24/7,
just thank
365 days a year, and fill
everybody-
your head with stats that you'll probably forget 5 minutes after the show's ended anyway. Like,
No,
So-
absolutely. Right.
but-
Well, thanks to my panel tonight. I say it's actually my first time of hosting a show.
You've done
Tom, so
brilliant. I think you've been
I
brilliant.
thoroughly
Good
enjoyed
show.
hosting.
Good effort.
So thanks, and thank you to everybody in the chat. The
And
contributions on that side have been absolutely magnificent. So we will go out with some music.
yes, I'll play you out. Tom, we'll have a word in the back. We'll see you guys in the back room,
Yeah,
right? This is what we play
hang
out
on, we'll
with.
see you.